Let's go.
And we're live.
Hello there. Good evening and welcome to a brand new edition of the Fans of Power podcast, the most badass and boldest and beautiful podcast on the internet for your infinite amount of wisdom of He-Man and She-Ra and everything in between, and some awesome stuff outside of the box as well. So you get more for your time here for something that's free. We don't charge people for this shit. You know, we like to think we're better than everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Oh, by the way, I'm Tyler Baker. Joe Amato's here. Nathan Kennedy. We are missing our little Newt. Her and her significant other are recovering from troubles down south, and we want our thoughts and prayers go out to them and everybody in the state of Florida, South Carolina, and everywhere in between. Because I know my favorite Myrtle Beach got hit pretty hard too. So, we're thankful that they're safe. They're not hurt, and as far as we know, nothing has happened to their house.
Yeah.
But others were not so fortunate. So we are deeply sorry for all the Floridians.
Yeah.
Right now.
Fort Myers got just wrecked. It was pretty bad. But Newt is fine. They're good. I think they had moderate flooding around their house and then a little minor flooding. I don't think anything got inside other than maybe their porch, and thing. I'm not completely, because those pictures that John sent us, I don't know if some of that stuff was actually in the house or basement, stuff like that. But
it didn't look like it, but
yeah, it seemed pretty minor, all things considered. So yeah, everything's good on their end. But yeah, man, storms are shitty. It even came up, it swung around and came up our way, but we just got some heavy rain and some wind.
It was like a toilet bowl mist of rain. Like when you flush the toilet and that spray of mist hits your ass.
No, it rained pretty hard on Friday.
I don't know. I was grilling all evening. I really wasn't paying attention to it. I know yesterday it was like a mist all day. It was enough saying the same thing today, but we certainly can't complain about that. It was just made for a weekend of staying inside watching horror movies all weekend.
Yeah, horror movies. Newt and I were going to talk about this a little later in the week, but since Joe, I guess, already watches as well, we can talk a little bit about Rob Zombie's Monsters if you want to.
Yeah, and I'll say something about that. But first, I'll say something real quick. I'll say, give a shout out to the chat, and then we'll talk about that. We got Chris Carter, Febmon, JSP, Brian Brummagem, Rebel Wookie, Zentron, Daniel Carhonen, Adam Gabbard, Grimbot, Eric Sanchez. Oh, scrolling some more. Jordell Fresh Breeze.
I like that name. That sounds like the name of a really good deodorant or shampoo.
He's been here before. I know he's been here before.
Has he? I don't remember the name Fresh Breeze.
Yeah, and I'm almost certain that he's made comments on some of our videos too.
I guess I've just not paying attention.
That seems to be your MO.
Clearly.
Vintage Masters of the Universe.
You'd be surprised what I don't pay attention to. Yeah.
I do. Tyler is so oblivious. There have been times that I've being in a car, pulled up right beside of him at a light, and I'm waving at him like a dipshit, and he's just staring straight off.
Just checking traffic, making sure the lights change so he ain't holding up.
My girlfriend's done the same thing. She's pulled up next to me, honked at me.
He doesn't care.
Well, I'm just I'm looking at the road ahead of me. I'm not.
Yeah, I can understand that.
But I get so much grief because I don't look outside of the road. But Nathan has been, has seen it. Eric has seen it. Like it's just,
He's done the same shit like in stores too. He's just like walked right past me. I don't say anything, but you just like stand there and wait. He's
Got
already
that tunnel vision, just staying
I
focused.
don't know,
yeah,
man.
I am. Well, when I'm shopping, I'm not there to browse. I'm on a mission to get my groceries and get the hell out. So I'm like, I'm not looking. Patio furniture is on.
I kind of
sale.
look. Hey, did you know I found a nickel the other day? I was kind of
I'll
happy.
be damned.
I know I was coming out of a place. It was called Five
He's
and Below.
rich.
No, I shouldn't. I don't pick up a penny, but something real
He's
shiny
like
and silver.
Charlie Bucket. He's going to go buy a Willy Wonka bar.
I was like, it was shiny and silver. And as I was bending down, thank God our car didn't hit me because it was a car that was backing up. It could have happened as I was going for that nickel. I was really excited though. All right, vintage.
But it wasn't as great as these hot dogs that you found, Joe.
No, nothing beats.
I got your wiener. I got your wieners on my chest again.
I know. I tried to put them on there. So we got Vintage Masters of the Universe, Manic Plastic Toy Shop.
That's vintage Motu, Joe.
I don't say that word. You know I don't say that word. Porrick, and I was going to say is here, but I'm going to say it again. Porrick is here. God damn it. Papa Hud 69. Jaime Mares. I'm still scrolling. I'm trying to catch up. Brian Clifton. Say the name. Say the name, Nathan.
Johnny Cock.
There you go. Jenny Q is here. Bucky Mohawk. And
Toki Death Nuts.
No Toki Death Nuts this time.
I haven't seen Toki Death Hammer in a while.
And I think I got everybody. And if I missed anybody, I apologize. But no. All right, you were talking about, like you said, horror month. And we'll start off, and believe it or not, since I can watch Netflix through a friend, I was like, I got to watch this Monsters. Now here, as you guys know, I just have never been a Rob Zombie fan because I couldn't stand his Halloweens. I'm not saying about anything about, House
Which
of
is
Thousand Corpses.
pretty ridiculous what Joe will tolerate now.
It's weird. It's weird because I hate his Halloweens. And I was like, I just can't stand this guy. And I heard he's doing from U2, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I said U2 like, I don't know you guys. But you mentioned that, hey, he was working on a Monsters. I was like, oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I watched and I was like, it was weird. I was watching. I was like, I don't know what to think of this. And I was like,
same.
I was like, I can see what they're trying to do. Make it kind of hokey, a little bit like the TV show. But they went even a little more beyond that. And I was like, all right, I'm going to try to just wipe out my disdain for that guy and watch this movie and see what I think. And I was like, you know what? For what it was, I was like, it actually wasn't bad, especially if you look at it like, okay, the movie you could say could have been made for kids. Actually, you could say kids or families, and maybe hardcore fans of the Monsters could have been slightly put off, thought it was going to be a little different. But I was like, you know what? I actually didn't hate it. It was just, I didn't. What about you, Nathan? Just I don't know.
I didn't hate it, but it's so weird. It's like things happen in it, but like nothing really happens.
Yeah.
So it just like it's weird. You're just like.
Did it feel like a long episode of a TV show? Because it was like an episode of the show or something.
Yeah. It was weird.
Yeah, it was weird. So I can't say it was complete garbage, and obviously it's not.
But it wasn't good.
No, but it wasn't good, and it wasn't a masterpiece. It was just
it just happened.
Exactly.
The credits rolled, and Emily was like, "That's it." I'm like, "Yeah, I guess so." I don't know.
I thought there was gonna be. I was like, "Are they gonna do a thing after the credits, like every movie in history?" And they didn't. They just rolled the credits. It was over. It was like, I probably won't ever watch it again.
Yeah, it had a couple moments in it that were just like, oh, well, that's kind of like you chuckle, like it's just like, okay, that was kind of cute, I guess, in a way. It's like, all right, but yeah, it's just so weird. It's like this, it's like a trip. You just, I don't know.
It was like one of the first movies, almost like what you're saying. Where I watched, I was like, I don't really know what to say. It's like
it would be one of those things that if it wasn't loud in certain parts, it's something you could easily just put on to like sleep to at night if you just put it on repeat or something. But it's got too many moments where it gets loud. It's like, and it's like, it would probably wake you up. But I thought the dude that played the grandpa was probably the best, or at least close to more sounding like the character. And of course, Rob Zombie casting his wife and everything. He needs to stop doing that.
I was going to ask you guys that very thing. Like, it's sad though, because like by this point, if she was any good, she'd be cast in other stuff. I mean, at least legitimate stuff. Maybe she's done some really obscure independent shit, but at this point, like when she's always playing the leading female in most of his movies, like, I'd feel kind of disheartened if I was an actor and the only way I could get, work is, Even though Tim Burton would put Helena like in everything, even though she had been acting
But
way
she's been
before.
she would have been in other shit
Yeah, and she has been.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't mind her as Lily. I was like,
she wasn't. No, she wasn't bad. It was just the whole. I mean, she had the whole like hand mannerisms down and trying to act like Lily did on the show. So
even the guy who did Herman, I don't know who that actor is. But I was like,
I think he's been in some Rob Zombie's other stuff. He's been in some other things too. I wish they would.
Not to see, Bill
Moseley.
Well, I mean,
I was actually with Bill Moseley. I'm like, well, will he show up? No,
but didn't the actor who played like little Eddie Munster, wasn't he the tin robot guy or something that was in the movie?
He may have been. I don't know. I haven't.
So they didn't have him, and they didn't have Marilyn Munster. But
maybe Marilyn wasn't in it.
No, well, it's kind of like
a prequel.
It's kind of like an origin story for the Munsters.
Yeah, it was them and how they got to where they were at.
How they got to, it was like Mockingbird Lane.
It is what it is. It was like
it is what, yeah. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody, but if you do get,
I would do it for kids. I'd honestly say if a family wants to watch with their kids.
This scenario's been done before and done right with the Addams Family. Okay, I think we all agree the Addams Family 1 and 2 were great films. What about that compared to this was done right to make those films memorable and this so forgettable?
I mean, you got a variety of things, like those were made in the early 90s. The budget was probably bigger. The cast is filled with better actors.
Okay, wait, Tyler. It actually had a movie.
The purpose of this, I mean, those
had a movie atmosphere. This actually didn't feel like a movie. It felt like an extended episode of The Munsters. And so there was no really like the kind of like anxiousness or wonderment. It was just kind of like it was an episode of the show. Just really long, so it didn't have a movie feel
either. It didn't sound like it was written very well. If you guys are like kind of like shrugging your shoulders at it, like it's
the part of that problem is because Rob Zombie wrote it. I think if someone else wrote it and he directed it, and I stand by this with most of his filmography, because I think the vast majority of the things, maybe except for Halloween, because I haven't deep dived on his stuff, but like his other projects, Devil's Rejects, House of 1,000 Corpses, 3 from Hell, Lords of Salem. I think he writes all of those, and if someone else wrote them, because I think that he's got a good visual eye with what he wants to present on screen. It's just his scripts are never that great. But it was I would say this, it was a nice change of pace to see a PG Rob Zombie Monsters movie, and it wasn't your typical his other like the white trashy fuck taking up most of the script. That part of it was good, but I don't know, it's just
a family could watch it, but real fans of fans of the Munsters would probably be like, nah. So so that was that. So watch it, and I think what else is coming this week to theaters, and then I think streaming eventually is like a sequel to a movie that was a really freaky fucking movie called Terrifier. Terrifier 2 comes out this week. I don't know if you guys. Wow, Terrifier was crazy.
I haven't. I've seen stuff. I haven't given it a shot.
Oh, you gotta see that. Terrifier was crazy. I love that damn movie. Oh, that was a great fucking movie. So a sequel's coming out this week.
Philippe did this. Forget Monsters. Watch Dahmer. I still need to watch that. Even when Rebecca was like, because she was like, I watch Monsters, and she was like, have you watched Dahmer yet? And I was like, no. So I'll watch some of that. That way her and I can talk about that a little bit too.
Okay.
And my mom actually watched, I think, almost 4 episodes of Dahmer. She too was like, she's just depressed and just felt like, I can't watch this for entertainment. Like that's what it's made for. It's entertainment. Like a documentary is one thing, but it's just and it is slow. Like everything's dragged out. Everything, like what's coming, and you don't see anything. Not that you needed to, but everything is dragged out. I mean, it is slow going. It's not. I won't say it's like a slow burn film like Alien, but it's just it takes a long time to get where you know it's going, and it just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. Even though it's extremely well acted and everything, it's shot good. It's just it's not. There's nothing wrong about it. It's just I'm like I just don't feel like I.
Yeah, the subject matter is too like much.
Yeah, it is, and it's not like like you watch like Silence of the Lambs, like Hannibal Lecter's like based off of like Ed Gein.
Yeah, this was like something that actually happened.
Yeah, that's what makes it a little bit more hard to swallow. Like just feeling sorry again, like I said last week or whenever we talked about it, that thinking about the parents that are reliving this now because the show drew so much attention. Now they're just like, against it, which I can't say I blame them at all. That none of them were reached out to kind of give their input or thoughts on the events or anything like that. So, but it's some messed up shit. But if we were younger, it probably wouldn't have bothered me. Like if I was to watch this in my late teens and early 20s when I was like a rabid like horror fan, like watching everything I get my hands on, and it probably wouldn't have bothered me as much. But it's just awful to think about what happened to all those guys. It's just fucking disgusting.
Yeah. Well, hey, and I did want to thank whoever it was, and I don't expect anybody in the chat to say if it was them or not, but whoever sent
confess who did this.
It was me, Joe. It was me, Joe.
It was me all along. Yeah, somebody sent me, which it was very kind, whoever it was, the 4-pack of those anniversary Origins figures, and
I can't believe someone wasted $150 and sent it to you.
And that's because I
really wanted to say, like, what the hell are you doing, man? Like, I know your heart's in the right place, but you're supporting this plague that's all over the retail outlets.
Well, I messaged Nathan, and of course he was like, "I'll send you that shit." And then
he was like, "Did you do this?" I'm like, "No, Joe." And he's like, "Send me a voice message. I want to hear it in your voice." I'm like, "I'm not doing that, Joe. If you can't believe me telling you that I didn't
just that.
waste
was he aggressive when he said that too? Was like,
no.
Give me a name.
I asked him. Then Nathan said, "This will make for good content." And I was like, "Wait a second, now you did do it, didn't you?" He's like, "No, I wouldn't send you that shit." So then I asked John and Rebecca, and both of them said the same thing. They're like, "I'd rather get you a 150 Mondo figure than that piece of shit." Or I was like, "Okay." Yes. And I was like, "Well, I know it's not Tyler, because even if Tyler had the money, it's like Tyler fucking hates that line. He's like, I wouldn't buy you shit."
Tyler's not gonna spend money on you. What are you talking about?
Well, at least not that much.
No, say even if he was rich,
now, I'll spend that money for a custom if Joe would tell me how much the fucking custom is.
No, I'm saying he has such a disdain for Origins that even if he was rich, he was like, he wouldn't fucking buy it out of principle.
No, I wouldn't buy my nephew that.
But whoever it was, thank you very much. And
I got Yeah, we get it, Joe. Joe appreciates it. I got Digitino from the Sunman line because I'm like, I'm not with this figure. I'm just like, man, okay.
I thought that was Molar. That shitty Scott
you know what? That kind of And then
wait, what is that?
That's got King Randor.
How did you get Digitino? He's out.
On Big Bad Toy Store. It was the international version, so the shitty mini comics don't actually have dialogue.
Oh well, it doesn't matter. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
King Randor, because I do not have a vintage King Randor, and I'm not going to pay eBay prices.
Well, that's cool. And you know what Grim had me do? Because he was like, Joe, he was like, maybe you should. He wanted to see the 2000X style He-Man head from Origins, because when he looked at it, he was like, that's a great fucking head. He was like, I want to see if you could take that head and just put it on the first release.
Said this?
Yes, and this is what's shocking,
he must have a motive.
No. This is what's shocking, because he likes the face sculpt. He said he didn't, and like the hair was fine, even though he said the color he wished would have been, I think, a little more orangish yellow. But he's like, could you take that head and put it on the first release He-Man body for Origins? He was like, I want to see if that would have made it seem like that would have been a better figure. And I showed him that. I sent him the photo today, and he said, that was perfect. Why didn't they do that? He actually said that, and I sent him the photo, and it shocked me. I mean, maybe I should.
Is he dying or something?
He must be depressed or something. Like he needs something to believe in.
Comparing
Deuces,
to what
you can
they
believe
gave
in me. You can believe in Nathan. Joe, that's another story. But at least you can rely on us, man. We will not let you down. You don't have to resort to this kind of.
Here, Nathan, I'll get you.
I don't know what it is.
Photo that he.
Oh, great, Joe. Cool.
Well, what's funny? He said, "Could you bring it up on the podcast?" I was like, "Don't you tell me what to do." And now I'm doing it. So. But there, I just send it. And honestly, if that would have been released instead of that posing for a high school prom photo He-Man head, I was like, I think more people in the client said, like, yeah, that's actually fine. That actually looks okay. So it shocked me when he said it too, but. There, I just sent it now. So I just popped the head.
I think it's not so much of him saying that; it's that he said something positive for a change.
See, now he's not even commenting no more. He stopped. He's not even commenting.
Yeah, because he's ashamed that like you're telling this to the world. That
was a private conversation, Joe. It was not. It was not supposed to be shared with the masses there.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's actually not bad. I was like, yeah, that's fine. It definitely is better than. Yeah, that is better than the other.
It is. I mean, the figure though itself is still like the head sculpt is better, but the figure itself is so muted. Like it I don't know.
I like him. I like him though. I like.
Well, of course. Well, Joe, you have a very like you're like you'll eat anything, So
That's true.
What are you saying? I'd eat anything. It's like I wouldn't eat anything. Nathan's like, what is that, Joe?
I'm saying you're not a picky person, Joe. As much as you will rant and rave on an occasion about what you don't like about what's going on.
I don't get
Masterverse.
Masterverse. I don't get.
Now I'm thinking about it. Now I'm thinking about it. Joe, did you send me a voice message saying something along the lines of like something that you ate, or did I dream that?
No, I don't think so.
I can't remember. Maybe not. Or maybe you've just done it so many times that I'm just like, did he do that again?
Like,
I'm glad he's telling you and not me, though.
I don't remember talking about
back
well, see, I'm kind of like the person that Joe comes to when he wants to just say embarrassing shit that he does, because he knows that I'm not going to judge him as harshly as like you would. Like you would put him down way more than I would. I just be like, Joe.
Yeah, but even back in the day, though, he wasn't telling me stuff like that. He was like, you got to get home by 7 o'clock. I got to tell you what I saw on social media. And he just argued with some asshole and thinks that he one-upped him like the guy's fucking clueless. Joe, in Joe's eyes, he thinks he like embarrassed him. The guy was just completely unaware, bozone. You remember those days, Joe, when you would have me like make me feel like I had to hurry the hell up, get home by 7 o'clock.
That's
so
awesome.
Tell me that you argue with some idiot on Facebook.
That's good. It means that he had some power over you at some point.
No,
I rambled. I rambled, but when I knew Tyler didn't care, so when he didn't care, I was like, I won't tell him, because I could tell Tyler really didn't give a shit. I was like,
after several occasions of doing this, not after one. I mean, multiple times.
Oh, you know me, because I get these fuckers online that always question something I'd say, saying something about my customs. Fucking.
I thought he was going to say saying something about my cock for a second.
No, my customs or a picture I did. And I was like, these motherfuckers, it drive me nuts. I was like, how are they going to say this shit? So I was like, I'll tell Tyler, man. Tyler, listen to this. And about after the third time, I could tell, I was like, he don't give a fuck.
He don't want to listen no more. When are we going to get another co-host?
This was during my time. I'm like, I'm hoping the podcast is going to progress. Like, we made a connection or someone heard about us.
This is when Tyler thought that we were going to have like 80,000 subscribers.
To be honest, Tyler used to vent because he'd get annoyed. He's like, nobody's watching this. Nobody's watching the podcast. God damn it. Sometimes it's up. Sometimes it's down. Like he would have his way of it. And I was like, well, we'll see. Maybe it'll go up this week.
It didn't help too that I would promote the hell out of this podcast on my page that no one gave a shit about. I go to every He-Man group that I was a part of.
Friends. You don't have that many Facebook friends, though.
Well, but I also don't go around adding people either. What I have for Facebook friends, people have added me. I'm not going around like.
Well, I'm just saying, if you don't have.
You too.
Hey, Frank McJohnson's here in the chat, aka Ren McKenzie.
Yeah, put those boxing gloves on.
Yes. Ren, the Intergalactic Ninja, has started my commission. I have seen the layout, people. So we are making headway here.
Well, how about this, Tyler? Where's your green shirt? Did you not get the memo?
No one said a green shirt to me. I'm a ninja. I never wear green.
He's a dipshit.
Yeah.
Before we started the show, Joe was talking about how he went to print a new mask and it printed out too big and he didn't have time to cut it out or whatever. So he lifted his mask up and showed me. Tyler, I'm going to send you the picture so you can look at it. He just looks like a hobo ninja from some shitty 80s movie.
Well, the thing is, I got this this headband. Somebody got me this headband, and it's checkered just like my thing here. So I wrapped it around my under mask here as like a headband to keep this mask off my face. And then he's like, "Wait a second, just hold on a second." And I know he screenshot.
He kind of looks like the he looks like the assassin.
Oh my god, yeah. What, like a real bad one too. Like he is definitely canon film fodder right here.
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy like when the hero is starting to like learn his skills. This is the first guy the hero takes out in the movie. This is like the substandard thief that shows up to try and mug Joe and his date. But Joe is playing the what a shitty ninja, man.
Yeah, I told him to make a meme face.
We do a remake, Enter the Ninja, and that's
no, don't show.
I thought you were gonna shut up.
Sorry. It was like I was just like you know what I'm talking about. Like, what man? Oh, for God's sake!
Jesus Christ!
I thought it was funny how I freaked out too. I'm like, no, like
people will see Joe's nose.
I literally almost had a heart palpitation. Jesus Christ, don't ever do that shit again.
God, Joe, grow a pair.
Grow a pair. I didn't know. I thought you were having a dimwit moment. And you're ready to show me.
A dimwit moment.
Screen.
I'm just talking like always. I'm talking like it's just us boys here. Just look at that. Like, look at that. Can you guys even see what that wallpaper is on my phone? No.
Wolverine at the bottom, maybe.
Well, yeah, Wolverine was at the bottom, but just knowing like how quick that I went like that and Joe was like,
even Nathan was. Even Nathan.
Yeah, I don't know why I did it.
I know, but see that you conditioned and trained Nathan that if people see your nose, he's gonna go the way of Keanu Reeves and just blow his brains out right here live. And who's gonna produce the podcast? All because you couldn't handle the idea of someone seeing your nose. By the way, I was thinking like it'd be funny if we did like a Frosty the Snowman like parody when Christmas time. We call it Frosty the Snow Bum, and like it's a magical modular. Is he
gonna have this as his scarf?
He'll have that and a magical modular mask that the evil magician Scott Knightley created. But no one wants him around because he keeps writing all these like shitty He-Man bios. So he tosses the mask out, and little Rebecca puts it on this snowman that she makes, and he's like, he just comes to life and starts bumming around and making crude gestures to Rebecca and her,
Wait,
John
instead
is
of saying
always
happy
recording
birthday, I'm like, where's the food?
Yeah. Angela's like, don't worry, Frosty. We got to get you to the North Pole. And so this whole big adventure of the evil magician Scott Knightley's trying to get his magical mask back because if it's magic, I want it back. And I get to play Santa because then at the very end, I tell Scott Knightley, don't you dare touch that. If you so much as lay a finger on that mask, I'll never give you another Christmas present again. He's like, I want you to go home and write 100 zillion times, I'm sorry what I did to the He-Man bios. He's like, you can never do it again. Never. Not never. Oh, it'd be so great to have like this like Frosty the Snowman parody, and then Joe melts. But like when they're like trying to walk to the south or the North Pole, like Joe's constantly putting his hand on their ass, like get your hand on my ass, Joe. And Joe's just constantly making these lewd gestures along with like bombing and stealing.
Let's maybe we can reach out to like Ren or someone, commission it, and make like a little book.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Get it printed out, just a little story, a little small short story.
Yeah. I figure like Nathan and John could be like two of the kids, or like Hocus Pocus. I know we just have to do just like a goofy rabbit stand-in or something like that, like a cigar smoking rabbit.
And if I'm also like how you said, how I'm a bum and I'm just cheap and shit. Around here where we used to make snowmen, we would roll the snow, and of course it would go through like beer cans, beer cans, in the snow, beer cans, dirt, shit, and it was just always so funky.
You look like Pigpen made the snowman.
So he's gonna have like a beer can stuck to the side and a random stick, a piece of shit. Just
funny.
Oh no, Rebecca makes your nose out of a long, frozen piece of dog shit, and that plugs it right in. And like shit pebbles for your mouth, But then you put the mask on, you can't see it. Yeah, you can't see your face once you put the mask on. And, where's the buffet? That's what Joe says when he, it'd be great, man. And then all the kids
like two burnt pepperonis.
Yeah, it'd be so great. And we just parody like the classic cartoon because I just thought like with Joe's like his scarf and the power he puts in that mask, like, would it be so funny if it was a magical mask that would bring his snowman to life, but he has the personality of a Joe Motto. What? Now, can you see that being played on CBS once a year as a Christmas classic? How awesome!
That'd be great. And he stumbles into Dollar Tree on the burritos.
Yeah, and then he gets locked in, and Scott Knightley like locks him in there. Now I've got you, and that mask will be all mine. And he wants to go back to Mattel and make a fortune. And that's when I come in and save Joe and tell little Rebecca, oh, don't cry, Rebecca. Joey's not gone for good. Just pissing some more snow and we'll bring him back to life. Piss poor job with those buys. Well, damn right he did. That's why I want to make him the evil magician. So he gets embarrassed and he has to promise 100 zillion times that he will never write another He-Man bio. To me, it's Santa Claus. It'd be great. I think it'd be maybe we could reach out to Scott and say, this is a way of apologizing for what you've done to the property.
A masked snowman eating cheap food and getting hookers.
Yeah, it'd be great. Like when they can't find, Frosty, they go to like the local cheap hotel and like all these dollar store hookers and, Dollar Tree burritos and stuff like that. Are just, we don't know where it's going. He's eating it, but we don't know where it's going. God, it's a gold mine. I'm telling you, we could like make a whole like line of children's books. Like we're back at the golden age of golden books with Joe Amato. With
I mean,
front man.
if anything, we could get Grimm to draw something up, and we could at least put it on a T-shirt or something too.
But it has to be like the classic Rankin and Bass, Frosty the Snowman cartoon. Like it has to look like Rebecca, or just draw Karen, even because she looks like Rebecca. The little blonde-haired girl that befriends Frosty, see just Frosty the Snow Bum with the mask on.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, and little Rebecca's like this, and we draw an evil magician. I don't know if Scott might, he might file a lawsuit against us for like selling his picture as an evil magician.
I don't know. He seems to. Yeah,
I don't know. He may not care. He might not even know about us, other than the fact that Joe Amato exists. So
yeah,
we could probably get away with saying he's an evil magician. You write shitty bios. Or he could just come on here and apologize 100 zillion times for what he's done. So take your pick, Scott. Whichever way, Become immortalized with Joe Amato as a Christmas classic, or just apologize, to us live, because you didn't do it anywhere else.
There you go, Joe. Make your snow bum custom.
Yeah.
Oh, Joe said Cyclops and my Malactha custom. It's going to be in the mail on Tuesday. That's what he said.
Where the hell's my Black Star?
And then I can get on you. That didn't sound fucking right at all.
No, I do
Let's
not
try that again. Then I can get on yours.
No,
it doesn't sound any better, Joe.
No, not really.
I tried.
Well, have you decided on a price?
Bastard. Yeah, we'll see about that after the podcast. We'll see what.
We're not gonna discuss this live.
Yeah, be sure that you do.
Somebody did show a pretty cool picture of a turkey, though, because when I'm seeing giblets down there with Paulrick. Well, Paulrick's talking about giblets. It's making me think of a turkey. Do you guys like eating a turkey neck? Because those are really good. Oh, man, it's really good tender meat. I mean, it's fucking more tender than turkey, but somebody took well, hold on real quick. They took a turkey.
Whoever said this, I hope you're happy now.
Well, look, and they took a turkey neck, they stuck it right up at the end of the turkey. They put the gizzards there, and they baked it, and it looked like a turkey with like a dried up cock just sitting right in front of it. It was the craziest thing.
And then Joe just went to town on it.
You're like, I can't get it off of this cock.
It still looked good. It was like turkey necks are great. If you never had them, eat those things. God damn, they're good. But you got to keep it inside the turkey so you can pull it out and it's like real wet and moist. So
Johnny
Cox
says the masked snowman dies from eating ramen because it melts him from the inside, but he keeps eating because it was 25 cents.
Oh, that's just a mistake he makes. We got to have Scott like as the evil, Professor Hinkle lock Joe in a Dollar Tree up by the North Pole. Like that's how we have that sad moment when he melts and Rebecca's sitting there crying in the floor around all like the dollar store poinsettias, and then I show up and Nathan is hocus pocus the rabbit's like signaling to me to get inside the fucking store, and we see that the mask laying in the puddle there and she's crying because he wouldn't stop touching her ass and
I found that nickel. Do you know I lost a quarter though today? I got really pissed as I was leaving.
Wasn't that
Kroger.
random, Nathan?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying. I sat there when I was leaving Kroger, and I haven't for 2 years tried to use a quarter there because it stole a quarter from me a couple years ago. When I was trying to get a gumball.
The store stole a Kroger.
The goddamn machine that had the gumball. So there went my quarter. So this time I was like, "Fuck it! It's been 2 years.
It's been 2 years." He just keeps walking past it every time. It's like, you motherfucker.
I swear I do. And so I put it in there to get this like little capsule alien thing that I was going to get out of there. Fucking thing stole my quarter again. And I was ready to shake the machine, but that cop that was there from last time when I was leaving with this cart that got stuck, he was there. And I was like, I can't shake the machine. I was ready to shake that fucking thing. Stole a quarter. God damn it. All right, there. I'm done rambling about that.
I thought maybe like you had a hole in your pocket and some of your change fell out. No,
fucking machine. And what's weird is I swear it's a different because they have like 8 there.
Shorts.
Yeah.
I just keep getting screwed on those machines.
It kind of is though when you think about it.
Yeah, Joe is like a real skinny donkey lips.
Yeah.
Which was a character on Salute Your Shorts, Joe.
I never see. Oh, I never.
I know you haven't. That's why I'm just trying to explain it to you.
Who's he? You said a skinny guy. You said that.
No, you're a skinny version of Donkey Lips. Donkey Lips was like the generic fat kid and capable of like following your head and stuff like that. I mean, the whole cast was good, but it was just such a great name. Like there was nothing donkey about him. They just called him Donkey Lips because he was the fat kid and he was like the big muscle for Budnick, even though he was just fat. But
I liked that episode where Dina went
Went to
on
the
that.
dance with him.
Well, yeah, but there was that whole thing of like, here's another clue, and then they go to where
And
the
his
the film develops, and it's just like
in his
Donkey
face.
Lips' face. Yeah.
Yeah. In the chat room, if there's any fans of Salute Your Shorts, like just pop it up because I need to know there's others out there. Because it's a show that is wonderful. Maybe Sunday we'll get Joe to experience that because we got him hooked on G.I. Joe now. So.
Oh yeah, someone was asking about that in the chat earlier about G.I. Joe, and he watched another episode. He watched the Funhouse.
Yes. Yeah. So before we get into our discussion, I've waited long enough.
I gotta know.
Well, what you thought.
Well, I mean, I enjoyed the episode, but I got to ask questions about certain characters since I don't know much. Zartan,
Mm-hmm.
Can he turn invisible or something? Is that his ability, or is it a camouflage? What is that?
It's not really. I mean, he is like a master of disguise, so to speak. Like he can copy your voice. He dresses up as people. His invisibility is just kind of like it's not used as much. It's used some in the earlier episodes.
Okay, because I noticed he did that. So okay,
yeah,
all right. I noticed that.
I know that part you're talking at the very beginning when he's going in sneaking. Yeah,
right at the beginning, and then because like I said, I'm just trying to get the gist of some of these characters because like I said, I don't know any of them. The one guy that's named Bazooka, is he supposed to be a like a dimwit or a klutz or something?
No, just kind of a.
Or was that just for that episode?
No, that's kind of how the character, because him and Alpine are buddies on the show. Like you tend to see them, but like there's one episode called Bazooka Saw a Sea Serpent, and everyone's kind of dismisses that. Of course, it's like a robotic, sea monster that the Cobra's operating, but he's just kind of there, but not. He's not stupid. He's not like dumb or anything.
I guess because like when like you said, his buddy was talking about like he was itching to fight, and then suddenly Bazooka starts scratching and stuff, and then then he walked and then he tripped and then his bazooka went off, and
it's like Grimm says here in as well Simple Tricks.
Yeah,
he's the Ram Man.
He is kind of the Ram Man, but not as like duh kind of thing. But he's there. I wouldn't even say he's slow, but he's just definitely not as quick witted. I'll just put it that way. Not like his buddy Alpine, who's awesome.
I did like the whole premise of the episode anyways, of like, the fun house. There was 3 ways to go. I liked how Baroness was just like, basically, how about we just leave, just blow up the island, like kill him. Like she just would see them all die. But then Zartan's getting paid by the hour and he's like, no, let him take his time. And so, and then I like the character. Then when you think of Cobra Commander, it's like, he's so sadistic and twisted. He wants them to go, all of them, to go through this maze. He could kill them, but he's enjoying this. And at the last minute, then realize, okay, that's it. Gotta go. Let's blow up the island. So I just like the 3 personalities that I got out of them, at least in one episode. And I didn't know if that carries on basically.
It's like series. That. I mean, like, it's like Zartan is a mercenary. He's very supportive of Cobra Commander, but he doesn't hesitate to bust people's balls, even Cobra Commanders. Him and Destro will butt heads.
So he doesn't wear a symbol since he's a mercenary. He doesn't wear.
None of the Dreadnoks wear anything Cobra related. They are hired gunmen. They're a biker gang out of Australia.
Okay.
That Cobra hires, but they always work with Cobra Commander. Like Destro is his own faction, but he supplies the weapons and supports the cause. The Baroness is a full support of Cobra, who's in a relationship with Destro. So they butt heads too, because she has her perspective on things. She is very much like the Evil Lynn of G.I. Joe. Like she's a master of disguise. She manipulates, but she loves Destro, and she does not like to have anybody avert his attention, which is in one particular episode as well.
But it was good. Like I said, I mean, I can't wait to see more episodes. But yeah, I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it.
That's all. Well, if he liked the Fun House and he's liked the Tread, then he should like all the other episodes that I sent him too. So. Because I remember when me and Nathan reviewed this on Capes and Commentaries, Nathan's like, "This was your favorite as a kid." Like, I got why he was saying that, because it's not the most serious premise, even though, it's one of my favorite episodes. I think it's a well done episode, and I can see why anybody would think the premise is like, this is silly. But I like the character portrayals in it. There are some lighthearted moments in it, but the villains are portrayed very fun. Like they're not. It ain't like the episode The Game Master. That episode, Deuce and John, please back me up on that episode. Is one of the worst pieces of shit the show ever did. I would not recommend that episode to anybody. And I sure as hell don't want Joe and Nathan to watch that episode either. What a fucked up episode that is. It's like it's the premise is what you think. It's just not executed in any way that's logical at all, even for an '80s cartoon. Oh my god! It even got a VHS release too. Oh my god!
We got this from John. True story. The U.S. military lowered its recruiting standards in the 70s to have meat for the grinder. This meant they recruited low IQ persons. They were known as McNamara's morons. Enter bazooka. So there you go.
Huh? I mean, because there weren't too many simple-minded guys on the Joe team. I think Bazooka was pretty much the. And even that, like, I wouldn't mind Bazooka going into battle with me. I mean, he's just a cool guy. And
Ren sent you something.
No, that he did.
What is it?
Haha! We are seeing legitimate progress for this commission that's going to be on TeePublic at some point here. So the characters have been drawn and inked. So now all we need is the background and the layout. So
yeah, we'll
Ren,
it's
looking fantastic here, Ren. It looks great.
Be thankful that you're experiencing it that way.
Can you change the position of the sword like this, like it's further back, like it clutched upside down, like he's like the knuckles holding it and the blade's going back this way. If you know what I'm talking about.
I like how we're working through this live on the show. That's pretty.
Well, I mean, he's here. Yeah, I'm gonna do it live. You know, it's just like I want to like do a full hold like. There we go. Like hold the sword. The sword's going back. That's what I was. If you could do that for me.
Yeah.
At least this is the best way to have some.
Yeah. Which I've already asked him if he would do that anyway.
He says he understands. He says,
Yeah,
now
okay.
I understand.
Okay.
But it's good it's
cool.
this way and not like on Facebook, because if he was doing this shit on Facebook, he sings and he really fucking has everybody's ears bleeding when he's doing his drawcast. It's his renderings as he does it. I really give him a lot of shit when he's drawing stuff live and then he sings. It just fucking turns off so many fucking people. He goes from like maybe 30 people watching to 5. So Ren, yeah, keep it up, man. You're doing good though. So
He keeps saying he hates Batman. By the way, yes, and the Baroness does look good in bikini in that episode, but oh my god, like they gave Flint like a sweater vest to wear. I mean, it's just, and the game master goes from looking like a normal looking guy to this big ballooned up. But like, I don't know. I don't want people to, go and watch. It's on YouTube, but I don't encourage people to go watch. It's a waste of your time. You're gonna be like, I'm not gonna get that 22 minutes back. So go watch an Apple Brown. Go watch Paint Dry. Watch every other episode of G.I. Joe, except anything that has to do with Lifeline. He sucks too.
all right.
And Joe, you'll have the movie in the mail on Monday, so you can watch that in its entirety. And we get a review of that next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds
So,
good.
yeah,
I'll do it.
Papa Huds is going to go watch that shitty episode after this podcast.
God, man! Now, watch like a computer complication. The episode where Mainframe and Zorana have kind of a conflicting relationship when you got both sides, or something like that. That's a fun episode. But don't watch that one. Oh God! Or Skeletons in the Closet, which was one I threw out to Nathan maybe for a Halloween discussion. Like as Halloween gets.
Yeah,
Joe has not watched. I didn't send that one to Joe yet because I didn't think about it. But that's kind of it's not Halloween themed, but what happens in it would be perfect for the Halloween season. Even though there is some kind of where does that kind of come from? But it's still fun, I think.
Well, the plan is to hopefully do one of those G.I. Joe episode watch-alongs this month with Joe. It'll. What were we gonna call that?
Yo Joe with JoJo.
Yeah, there we go.
All right.
Yeah,
that'll be fun.
Or Yo Joe with our Joe, or something like that. I mean,
I think Yo Joe with JoJo's probably
okay. I mean, because I've been calling him JoJo for years, so
yeah, that works.
And we'll just put Joe's mask in the O of we'll have to do like a G.I. Joe themed, and put Joe's mask in like the center of the O or in the place of an O or something like that.
Yeah.
To avoid Hasbro coming after us. And
well, happy early birthday to you, Ren. Ren's birthday tomorrow, so happy early birthday,
happy birthday
man.
there, bud.
Yeah, good job. Just Don't be singing on your birthday. All right, how about we get to the episode? Because if Ren starts saying all that shit, I'm gonna lose.
Well, Nathan will be watching. It's Halloween. Halloween ends. I'm actually. I told Joe I will watch it, and Joe and I will review that together.
Oh,
is it going to be on Peacock again?
Yeah, it's going to be on Peacock.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not going to fucking go to the theater and see that shit.
That's going to be awesome. I can't wait, man. It's going to be great, man. Oh shit! I had so much fun with Halloween Kills. I can't wait for ends.
Yeah, you're probably going to go with Trey though, right? Maybe.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
I think you were like, well, if he buys my ticket, I'll go. And I'm like, he's rich, man.
Of course,
he's rich.
I definitely will. And but I'll still watch it at home.
I'm sure Trey's like, oh great, I got to go with my bum uncle.
No, no. Trey's like, come on, Uncle Joe, let's go see this.
Show your face. Let's go to the movies. No one can see you in the dark.
Yeah, he loved Halloween Kills. He loved it. That's my nephew. He's got great taste, just like me.
I will say this. I watched that final trailer, and from that, I'm like, the trailer's okay.
I haven't seen nothing,
but I have said I
thought that about Spider-Man 3 also, and I got what I thought I was going to get.
My expectation for Halloween Ends, I have none. It's like even below that. So if it does anything correctly, I'd be like, oh, all right.
Oh, Michael Myers be walking into a nightclub in Haddonfield and just gutting people up like John Wick.
Yeah,
we'll find out soon. How about we get to the
that
episode?
Comes out like middle of the month, I think, right? It's like the 16th, 14th, something. I don't fucking know. It's soon enough, and Joe will set aside the time to talk about it at some point. I don't know when. Well, maybe like a Saturday or something, or maybe I can get up out of bed early enough before work and do. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see what's up.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You old bastard. All right. I wanted to try to do it like this, but we would cover up the mini comic. One thing that I did want to do, it's probably going to be a little cringy. So these guys discussed this all the way back on episode 150, which surprisingly enough was streamed on September 30th, 2018. So we're looking at just over 4 years ago.
That's weird.
I was not planning. When I mentioned this, Nathan was like, you did this. Like, it's like the 4-year anniversary. Like, all right.
And the whole thing, I guess, of kind of coming back and revisiting it is because I wasn't on the show. This was at the point where I would just be like, hey, we're good to go. And you guys go ahead and do it, which I'm actually.
You got clips of it or some weird shit? Oh, hold up.
I'm only going to play like probably the first like 30 seconds, but it's just kind of funny. And sorry, Tyler, you're going to have to hear your own voice.
No, I won't. I'll just take my earphones out.
He really doesn't like hearing himself.
Yeah, I know. He doesn't like to do that. So this is how the show, let me full screen this. Here we go. This is how the show used to be in Google Hangouts. And there wasn't either, you know how I'm always just like, and we're live. It wasn't like that at all. It's I'll just play it so you guys can see. And we're live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 150 of Fans of Power. I am Joe Amato, and I'm here with my partner in crime, Tyler T-Rex Baker. What's going on, T-Rex?
Ready to kick some ass, man. This is 150 episodes of just bullshitting about He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, dude. And
nuts. And like I said, I mean, no, you're right. It's crazy. 150 episodes in, and one of these discussions, it's almost like a little throwback, but maybe we always like twisting and trying to see another little side of it or things we missed. It's always fun to revisit something sometimes. That's like
see, I started thinking about the like.
What, you want me to cut it?
God, please! For the love of God, I didn't think my internet looked any fucking worse than it. Holy shit! Don't ever show that again. Don't ever show that shit again. Oh my God!
All the way back. And that was only 4 years ago, by the way.
I'd like to think that we have evolved. Even from our humble beginnings.
There's a better like flow and more like we're laid back. That was still when you guys were still in that point of like
150 episodes in. We're still like, I think this is a great mini comic. Yeah,
Oh
but
my
a lot of this stuff
I
too.
realized how fucking bad I looked. Holy
Yeah,
shit!
your connection.
Not much
was
has
terrible.
changed.
You ain't fucking shitting. You see, guys, now this is why I hated it when the past couple weeks my internet was going to shit, because I was getting flashbacks. I remember how bad it used to be. I ain't seen that in a while, but I get really fucking aggravated. So thank God it's a little better. But holy Christ.
Well, because of stuff like that too, it warrants a reason why we should go back and revisit a lot of this stuff. But a lot of this stuff too, it's easy to go back and talk about, multiple times, and it's not like we don't have other things to talk about, but we've damn near covered all the mini comics. But I did tell Nathan this, and I guess I'll just throw this out here too, is that we have yet to cover Scott Knightlick's mini comics.
I don't want to.
Wow, we have reached, because I told Nathan, I said, we can just destroy him live on YouTube. I was like, hell, why not? But you know what? If Joe doesn't want to do it, I'll respect that.
I mean, I really don't. Unless the fans wanted you to do it, and you guys go ahead. But I really wouldn't be a part of it. I can't do it.
No, you go. You guys go ahead.
I never thought, like, Joe will sit through the dumbest shit, and this is where he draws the line. So
I couldn't do it.
But no, it was not set in stone. But just like thinking about it, we have covered damn near every single He-Man mini comic. It's something which I guess
angry those got us. Remember that? Remember how fucking angry I got talking about.
Hey, you don't have to believe me. Of all people, I want to say I'm probably the angriest, because I was listening to people talk about this shit when they were unboxing the figures and talking about them on like Chris Vince's podcast. Like, why is nobody? Well, actually, they talk more about the bios than anything else. Rose Scuba would talk about the mini comics. I'm like. And then I didn't realize that they'd have Scott on, so they really couldn't, tear them apart.
Hated the bios, hated the mini comics, hated all that shit. God damn.
But it's just it's something that I maybe one day we can do it, or if Joe's absent, like me, Nathan, Rebecca can.
Yeah, you guys go right ahead.
We can savage them, It's but I think because I never get tired of destroying the stuff he did. But but I guess we can always go back and cover the Trap Jaw mini comic.
I think it would make sense to go back and cover some of the ones, especially at the point to where we couldn't have the mini, like we didn't have the mini comic on screen.
Do upgrades in a lot of these discussions. Like it's having Nathan and Rebecca on gives us a different spin. But back then our quality was not the greatest. I like to think that people go back and listen to some of those old episodes. I don't know if they really enjoy how things were back then, or if they think the show has gotten better, like how a lot of sitcoms
or maybe they think the show's gotten worse.
Well, it's
Joe's just talking about food and his wiener all the time.
Which I'm sure has turned off a lot of people. That's
I probably
one of our earliest listeners, I remember, told me and Joe that he thought we sold out, and this is before. I have no idea.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah, and I'm not sure what the reason was or what had happened. And he was a loyal listener too. Like, he was very supportive of the show. He was like, he loved our viewpoints on everything, and just out of the blue, I remember he left feedback. I don't know where it was at. I just that was the first and only time I heard anybody say something like that. I've heard people like say they don't like my opinions or whatever, and I mean that's par for the course. But like, it's like saying we sold out. Like, I don't know how he thought that.
I can't even imagine. Out of all people, for us to sell out, I was like, when, where, how?
Yeah, what did we get? It's
we get that.
Yeah, we don't have sponsors. We don't.
The only time this channel's ever made money was due to somebody else making money off of us with the video that they made.
Yeah, no, and that I mean, I guess we could say we have raised money for a shitty cause.
Yeah, that's true. Inadvertently.
Yeah, I mean, we help someone talk out of their ass and get paid for it. So, in other words, we can draw. We just choose to do it for free. We don't want to be like a dipshit and say, "Pay me so you can hear me, talk shit about somebody else."
Yeah.
I'd like to think we're better than that. Well, we are better than that. We don't think it. Damn it, we know it, and you all know it too.
Like how Joe's just like, oh, geez. It's like when Shockmaster fucking falls and you just hear Ric Flair like, oh no. But dude, this mini comic, man, this is an ass kicker. And you don't even get a lot of He-Man in it.
No. And just like Clash of Arms, like the cream of the crop. I mean, you could easily say this is the cream of the crop. I mean, anybody who said this was their favorite, of course. Clash of Arms, of course. And both of them, it's just a coincidence. It has nothing to do with the fact that He-Man is not in it. It's the villains take the forefront of both those stories. And the villains are arguably one of the best parts, if not the best part, of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. The villains, especially in this, too, because I was Team Skeletor when I got this mini comic. Even though I was fascinated by the Horde, I was Team Skeletor. And I don't remember if I ever said that on the podcast before, because I was so against, like, Hordak, like, turning on Skeletor. I wanted Skeletor to win the fight. But it was because I had never seen the Fright Zone playset except on the back of the mini comic that I got this with. That was, because on a lot of the Horde mini comics, you only got the Horde characters that you could buy. And that first page written by our wonderful Larry Houston. And I am curious. I don't know if it was in the notes, which I don't think it was. I don't know if Christy Marks wrote this or not. There's no writing credits for this story.
I don't know who wrote it. I don't.
Yeah, I know Christy Marks wrote Clash of Arms, so I almost wanted to sit there and say, and Danielle found that bit of trivia out for us.
Yeah, but I don't think this one, didn't have the credits for it. And I haven't looked at that big book in a while. I have it, but I'm always looking at my mini comics.
Yeah,
so
well, it doesn't even give Larry Houston credit either. There's no credits at all for it. But
there's no credits?
No, there's no credits at all. No, not even Lee Nordling, who edited all the or the majority of them.
That's strange.
Yeah, but a lot of this 85 wave was like that. I'm not sure what that was about, and it's arguably the best wave of mini comics. I think it's got the most, with Spike or Strikes. Maybe not, because Clash of Arms came out in the last wave along with maybe we could I don't know. That's a discussion for another day. But anyway,
I like how on the first page here, just the first panel, how we're setting it all up, where it says no more sinister a place exists in space or time than Hordak's wretched fright zone. So you're already like, holy fuck.
And the simplicity of this, like it takes place at night, and it's such a simple design here. And that's why I love the toy fright zone. Like I love Filmation's fright zone, but there's something very sinister and savage and wicked and deadly about this very small location, the house, the beast that will just eat you, a place where you can put a prisoner.
It was perfect. It was just basically you are walking right in the trap from the get-go. I mean,
God, yeah.
I've had so many people, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure it could be done well, but like so many people said, well, I wish it would have been like the cartoon. And I was like, okay. No, I was like, just hold on a second. I was like, I enjoy how it looks. I was like, but think about the aesthetic of that if you'd have it as a play set. You would look at the front, which is pretty imposing, but are you going to be playing behind, as like how Central Tower is? It's almost like Tyler, what you said before when you were asking me about the Eternia playset, and you said Viper Tower. You're like, well, kind of, what do you do with it? Like, is there any features? I was like, literally, you stick your hand behind it and you turn the snake head, which made me even think about Snake Mountain. Some people said, I wanted Snake Mountain to look like Filmation. I was like, would you? I was like, okay, you would again. From the front, it was cool, but from the back, unless they added all the stuff like Skeletor sitting on his throne and all the stuff, but what if they didn't add too much? You're basically looking at plain from the back, nothing from the front. This fright zone, from the start, you're walking into every trap, from that rock monster that traps your feet, the cage that you can get thrown in, this tree that is a living beast of a tree that can get you, plus the big dragon beast monster puppet. I was like, this is the most interactive playset, and it's the most simple.
I will we'll get this from John to counteract your point. The Fright Zone playset was so disappointing looking. A staircase.
I disagree. It looks so fucking frightening to me.
I do too.
It is frightening looking, and plus it is the most interactive out of, believe it or not, all the playsets. All the shit you can do right there from the front. Sure, it's the one that is the complete opposite. From the back, there's nothing. But on Eternia, everything's from basically the back, especially Central Tower, Castle Grayskull, Snake Mountain. You have to open to look from the inside. And on the outside, like Grayskull, there's nothing going on beyond the drawbridge. Snake Mountain, that's a little different though. At least has the bridge. It has the trap for them.
Yeah, because everything was Snake Mountain was much like the Fright Zone, where all the features are pretty much on the outside. Yeah, it's all.
Yeah, but Fright Zone was fucking. I love that. Got me hook, line, and sinker with this fucking set.
Do you think that that's because with none of us being involved in the toy industry, I always look at things when they're trying to come up with new ideas or play sets. I always think about those scenes in Big, You know, where it's like they're all trying to demonstrate and trying to prove their point of why they think this should be the thing. Yeah. Do you think that was something here that definitely needed to be thought out? Because you think when the toy line was coming out and then Filmation kind of where obviously they were having to think, all right, well, we probably don't want certain things to look like the cartoon because you have to think about the functionality or how you want to try.
You definitely have to think of the functionality.
Well, Filmation also, like, they had the right to use whatever characters they wanted and design kind of things for the most part however they wanted. Like the Sorceress was Filmation created, same thing with Orko. Castle Grayskull was very similar but vastly different. Same thing with Snake Mountain, which is fine. Especially when you realize that the Snake Mountain playset was originally a jungle playset. If anybody has seen that picture in the Power and Honor Foundation book, the Snake Mountain playset was originally a jungle playset with a large snake.
Yep.
I wish we had gotten that too, getting the repackaged Snake Mountain as a jungle mountain playset with the snake and a boulder with the waterfall. Like, that'd have been awesome to have that because it looks so good. So that's why when you see that like original concept, like, I forgive that because they just recycled this idea and just turned it into Snake Mountain. So it never bothered me when I received Snake Mountain and I got it as a hand-me-down. A lady that my mom worked with, like, her son was getting rid of a bunch of the stuff. She came on with Castle Grayskull, Snake Mountain, and Panther. I did not question for 1 second, this does not look like Filmation. Like, that's Castle Grayskull, this is Snake Mountain. And this is in the beginnings of me learning about who was, because I initially thought Castle Grayskull was where Skeletor lived. You know, like when I was 3, trying to figure things out.
Hell, me growing up with all of it, I know. Oh, wait, we're gonna see the jungle one.
Well,
the jungle,
yeah. I think I found the right thing.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Look at that amazing jungle place. Can you guys imagine? It looks like how badass is that? Like,
but you're right. To think of how they used that, repurposed, changed up, and turned into a Snake Mountain, and the functionality with what Nathan was saying, it's like I enjoyed that more than I did with Castle Grayskull because beyond all the stuff you can do on the outside, I love the gimmick of the mouth moving, you using that microphone. It was eerie as hell. As a kid, you had an absolute fucking blast with that, and I don't see that working if it would have just been a mountain peak and a snake wrapping around, and that would have been it wouldn't have had the same impact. So while some people
I think it would have, though, because of the imagination factor, like the waterfall, you got the cave for someone to go through.
I think some of its appeal, though, honestly, a little bit it would have been there, but I don't think it would have had the appeal of what we actually have now. The playset that they gave us, because it does have a lot with the bridges, with the face, with the trap, with the net, the snake, the chains, but that whole gimmick of that voice and you moving that mouth, it was kids played.
Well, and that's why I do agree with that. But I guess I just feel like when I saw that jungle playset, I just think there was so much potential to may have made that like the Vine Jungle playset.
They could have made it like almost. I almost feel like that could have been something even for like a Beastman's Vine Jungle. Something's like, why couldn't he have had something else, or like for other parts of Evil Warriors? That would have been another cool addition.
Or like that playset comes with like an exclusive Beastman or something like that.
Could you picture that? That'd be awesome. Like, oh my God, Beastman's on. Because remember at one time Beastman was the original baddie. How they were having some of the stories and stuff. It's like that would have been cool as shit.
Yeah,
I'll ask you this, Tyler: if they made it now for the Origins line and did that, but like it's like, oh hey, here's this concept, let's turn into that and put it out there. Would you actually buy that?
Yeah,
you heard it here, ladies and gents.
Yeah, I would because as long as it's not Rob David making it lame as shit. Like, I gotta put my fingerprints all over that way because I'm responsible for it.
And you know what? That would honestly be a fun thing for them to do for Mattel Creations.
Something fresh and new, definitely.
Take these concepts and like actually turn them into toy form. It would be a thing that would definitely appeal to this part of the fan base, like Tyler especially. They'd be like, I would spend money for that. I would.
And there's a playset that was meant to hang on a doorknob that's in the book too.
Oh, is that the Treehouse one? That Treehouse playset?
Like Axel put that in one of the many comments that he did for Lady Slither's lair.
I love that fucking Treehouse. It's like, fuck, we're not even talking about this comic. We're talking about
we'll get that. I mean, hey, it's
we'll get to it. But like these playsets, when I saw them, like I just think about the imagination and adventures I could have had with my He-Man figures had those been made.
Wasn't there even that prison jail cell thing too that they had? They had so many. God damn.
Yeah.
I feel
That
like
was
we could have a whole
badass, too.
episode where we should do some of this one of these weeks. Just go through that.
Just the play sets alone were fascinating to learn about that. I wasn't, and just knowing this. Go ahead.
Is it this?
Let's see.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be really cool to.
Yeah, and you just hang it on the doorknob there in your
Damn.
room, so you could have adventures right there.
Look at all that shit, man! I would have went fucking bananas.
It was such a brilliant concept, and it's a shame that it just wasn't realized. But obviously, they can't sync. I mean, we got 4 play sets. Well, 5 if you count the slime pit, which I do. So, so for a toy line to have that many play sets is pretty good.
Yeah.
But, right? Like Snake Mountain, Castle Grayskull, Talon Fighter, Point Dread, Slime Pit, Fright Zone, 5 play sets, and Eternia, 6 play sets. So 6 play sets for a line that didn't run a full decade is pretty good.
Yeah.
Along with everything we got in between there. So
That's true.
I mean, G.I. Joe only got the Missile Command Center, which was like it's a cardboard play set. The G.I. Joe headquarters, the Terrordrome, the Defiant, and then I think the Crusader, which was like a mobile, the Mobile Command Center, which was like it folded out and became a play set, but it was also like one giant, moving vehicles. But
Grim, I'm almost certain in some of the early stuff when they were showing things behind the scenes, I thought they did mention about Beastman. He was going to be the main villain, and all got switched around. I'm almost certain I read that somewhere. I know I'm not insane. He's saying
I guess I misunderstood what you said about that too, Joe. Like
I'm almost certain. I know I'm gonna find it. I know I'm not fucking crazy. I know I read that somewhere where he was originally. It was him. And then it all got switched. I fucking know I see this.
Well, I won't say that because like where they Zodiac was gonna be a bad guy, Stratus was gonna be a bad guy. Things were so inconsistent with like trying to define who was going to be who. I would not be surprised if Beastman was like at one point.
I'm gonna find that. I know I'm not crazy. He says I'm not crazy.
I don't know, Joe.
I'm just phony.
You're pretty. Crazy.
I mean, Joe does like to leave stuff on any bathroom written wall, but
pretty much. Well, hell, Nathan, how about we get back to the mini comic? You start giving your thoughts because you never really did get to talk about this fucking comic.
Well, I'm kind of doing this too. How we've started to do, going through sort of almost page by page, just so we can point out and make sure that nothing is left out.
This is one of the most beautifully illustrated and colored mini comics of the entire run.
And I'm actually, I think on the next page is something I will talk to, but I like the idea here that he's opened the portal and he's like, all right, Grizzlor, go and fetch me an evil warrior. It's time to get this plan put into motion. There we go. So I wanted to ask you guys this. How do you feel about Leech's appearance in this mini comic? Because he's kind of a little different compared to the other.
Strange in that panel.
Well, I feel like because if you look at the figure, the head is proportioned in a certain way, which I feel like Larry is trying to add depth to the figure's proportion, because the mouth is supposed to be prominently like out like this with like.
Yeah,
it's a hard character to kind of draw. Sometimes.
He is like Filmation got him right, but he's
like, I'm not saying that it's bad. It's just that it's different. So I kind of wanted to get your opinions on how it's illustrated.
The one right here at the very top. I feel like that angle, like he's illustrated like he's got a large prominent head.
Middle one,
the middle one. Yeah. I mean, I will say just from the angle. But I mean, his fangs are there, just like the figures depicted as having fangs. It's a big mouth, so I get it. It's just, and plus, I don't know. I love Larry's work so much. I mean,
no. I mean, his work's the most amazing.
And I get it's not saying that I get what Nathan's pointing at though, because it is like an awkward angle of the character.
Yeah, his appearance looks different, but I like how Grizzlor comes back with Stinkor. And they're like, what did you do? But Hordak's quickly to say, like, no, he did well delivering me the errand boy. Like the plan is still going through, but I like how Stinkor steps up. And it's like, errand boy, he gets like really defensive on him, and then they kind of have their little bit of dialogue there.
And that bothered me as a kid because I was such a fan of Stinkor, to see Stinkor being like shoved around and like treated like he was a piece of shit. When I would, because I couldn't read it when I was little, so it was just looking at the pictures. And I was
but
like,
you have to sacrifice that to kind of elevate Hordak,
But I know that, and that's what made Hordak such an asshole in this comic to me as a kid. Like, I was Team Skeletor, so like to see, Stinkor just being tossed around like, out of here, get my, deliver my message to Skeletor.
I liked it. I like seeing them all fight. I wasn't even like a team anybody for the like mini comic. I was like, it's just cool to see all these evil guys going at it. I just fucking ate it up.
Yeah,
you know?
and it is, and all of this, all this is just this build up.
Build it, yeah.
Yeah, we're building up, and I love how Larry always do Skeletor like Filmation. Like he looks so Filmation.
Yeah, and I love that look. Just sitting there thinking. And,
It is. It did bother me that his Havoc staff is like a wand. Like when I would see it, like it's not a full Havoc. It looks like Evil Lynn's wand. Like it's which would be kind of a cool accessory, almost like a battle wand almost. Not the full or like when it's in rest mode, like he can like the Predator's.
Maybe that's kind of like the implication there is that he has the ability to make it bigger and
it's like a symbol here, and then when he's ready to go into battle, the staff just extends. I mean, Skeletor, he can do whatever the hell he wants. I did like the fact that Triclops has blonde hair here in this, and I'm sure it was just a color error, but it looks cool.
Oh, so you're saying that I could play Triclops then?
You could play, and so could I. I could play He-Man and Triclops.
No,
that'd be great.
You got brownish red hair though, don't you, Nathan? You ain't got no blonde hair, do you?
Nathan has no red hair.
Yeah, it's like red, brown.
I see like a light brown.
It used to be like blonde when I was like, younger.
Yeah, mine was bleach blonde too.
But then it changed. But I like how when we, as Tyler was saying, it's building, but when it shifts back to Skeletor, we're starting to get that inner monologuing perspective of like he's already setting in motion his own plan, which I like this panel right here a lot because you could just see something like this in Filmation and like how they would use the shadow work when they're standing around this fire, that it really would accentuate the animation. But I like how he's like, all right, yeah, what's your plan? I don't really, and they keep like up and what about this and what about this until they finally reach an agreement. It's like, yeah, you're driving a hard bargain here.
Which
they're both just planning on double crossing each other. That's what the big build up.
But it does say and I feel like as the story progresses, like I feel like Hordak doing this because it does to a certain degree feel like he is playing along here. And that, all of Hordak's men, they go along with this. There's not one moment in this story where like Grizzlord decides he's going to tear out, Whiplash's throat. Yeah. I mean, it's at least until things go to shit. Like this is meant to be like, okay, we're legitimately teaming up to take out He-Man and take over Grayskull. And then it's just like, you just know everyone's going to turn on each other at that point. But it makes it so much fun is that while and I love the atmosphere about this, and they could be meeting anywhere and having a fire, just Skeletor by himself with Triclops is out there and the Horde, and just them talking about their ultimate goal and that Skeletor is what.
Well, he even is like, here, you can have Mantana.
I love how confident also they're writing the characters. And like when you look at Mantana, he's there almost saying like he is a badass. He knows
and not
what
saying
he's
a word.
Not saying a word. And the compliments and confidence that Hordak has in him, like, take him as, a sentry and his ability to hear over great distances. It's like, I just love the confidence he has in that character. Because, as we see him in Filmation, he's always portrayed, unfortunately, as a bumbling idiot that Hordak is always taking his shit out on. So I love the confidence and just, standing there.
This single issue alone does a great job of getting the villains over as villains. Like strong ass-kicking villains that you, as young boys, when you watch this, you want to like. This is what I envision when you're reenacting your battles.
Could you imagine that like that in the cartoon? All the characters that would have been fucking crazy.
I mean, to see Grizzly. I mean, and they had their moments where they were portrayed as very competent, but not all the time. But this is about as definitive as you. And they're not in it a whole lot, but it's enough to leave such an. I mean, here we are, all these years later, we're still celebrating the shit out of this book.
And I wanted to put this comment up that Ren left earlier when we were having discussions before we really dug into it. I reluctantly agree with Tyler. The villains are absolutely what makes Masters so amazing.
Okay, yes, that's what almost everybody says that. We all can agree on that.
There was one thing here that I wanted to ask you guys because I wasn't looking to see what comics came in order of what, but we've already kind of established here that Hordak and Skeletor, they have had a previous relationship, and we know how that's sort of been described as like, apprentice master kind of deal and like breaking off. Was this something that does this sort of follow the timeline of when all the other, like when that was all being mentioned, or was this kind of the first time? Because I don't.
It's not like
order the
they really
comics-
don't touch upon this in the mini comics. Like I really didn't
Yeah.
learn about that relationship until I got the Golden Book, The Horde, where it
Okay.
shows Skeletor with this kind of human-like yellow face, and then
Yeah.
he kind of goes and behind his Hordak's back to kind of
God,
harness.
that was an ugly fucking depiction.
It
in that
was,
book.
yes,
Oh.
and the book itself was a very ugly book, but that was the first time of me really learning that Skeletor like learned what he knew from Hordak. This right here was just like that they were maybe friends or allies at one point.
Did that predate this, or did that come out after the fact?
It came out around the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just kind of curious because, when between mini comics and Filmation and like Golden Books and any of the other material.
Yeah, because this stuff would have been coming out 85 the same year as She-Ra. She-Ra came out in 85 also when The Secret of the Sword came out. So all of this and She-Ra and The Secret of the Sword, like all coming out in the same year. So even if you didn't see the movie before if you got the mini comics or one mini comic and you go see the movie, like you could still kind of go back and put it all together. Like the mini comics, like they're not, and that's why I wrote the Leech mini comic, like to have a specific lead up to this, because there is no, like the Horde mini comics, like they're all over the place. They don't come off like they're building up, like, because this looks like this is the culmination of the Horde, like to finally invade Eternia and go after Grayskull and get revenge on Skeletor.
Yeah, because that's definitely how they write it. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Montana and Leech comic, as me and Joe have discussed, they're just random shitty stories, and like they're already on Eternia. Like there's no build up. It's just here they are, and it sucks balls. It makes no damn sense.
And Graham added here that the connection between them comes straight from Filmation. So I always kind of worry, like thought about the synergy, because I know it's like, all right, well, the mini comics does this, and like Filmation will acknowledge some things, don't acknowledge some things, and vice versa. So I was kind of just curious as to how this relationship that they kind of allude to more here, having something and then fleshing it out there, like the timing of it all. Because I've said it before, I'll say it again. Tyler has, once he discovered this and loved it as a kid, he spent the vast majority of his teenage years between trying to seek out pictures of naked women on the internet. He was also researching extensively to kind of like just build the knowledge that he has. And, of course, Joe was already 40 when all of this was coming out, so he kind of retained it better than most people. But me kind of just coming in here with these guys, that's why I like asking these questions to kind of see and especially when Grimm is here too, so it's like this collective hive mind of knowledge.
It would make sense because Filmation came up with the whole, like Larry DeChellier, who came up with the story of She-Ra. I mean, you pretty much, I guess we had to give him credit for kind of establishing like the connection between Hordak and Skeletor, and then Mattel carries that over into the toy line and the mini comics.
Books and everything else.
And everything else.
Twists on things.
Yeah.
Do you was there one person or a set of people that you guys know of that tried to? It's like, all right, well, yeah, do this, and you can use this for this because we're doing this here, or was it mini comic people were a separate thing? Filmation people, because I know Larry Houston was kind of involved with the various aspects, but was it all just sort of kept?
Yeah, Filmation did their own thing because that was the agreement that they said, sure, we'll use your toys, but we have the right to pick and choose who we want to use. And they would use, characters that were in development, which is why Tongue Lasher and Clawful look vastly different than the toys, but they had the right to pick and choose. That's why they deliberately chose not to use Stinkor. I think the Bashosaurus was deliberately chosen or avoided. Just there's a couple of examples that were just like, no, we're not going to use those characters. So they had that right to pretty much kind of come up with their own mythology, so to speak. Whereas Mattel was just like, it's constantly evolving through the mini comics, but Filmation was like establishing like the sorceress, who Orko was, Trala, where does Skeletor come from, and all that. So which is good because Mattel had no idea. They were just throwing it out there, and it's just.
Well, Graham was like, well, Larry worked at Filmation.
He did.
That's what I was getting at, because he worked on the mini comics. He worked at Filmation. Yeah. Was there any point like where, doing both of these, he could maybe do a little more. Or was there a person there that was like, no, like you have to keep this separate?
I'm sure, because he worked at Filmation and was doing the freelance work for Mattel in the mini comics, like he probably, already had a pretty good understanding of Lee Nordling, who was the editor on the mini comics, was probably getting like these certain mandates, like what needed to be done. Hey, these toys are being featured, pass it on to the writers, the few that there were, and just put a story together using these characters, or just like how with a lot of Larry's stories in '84, there were no notes for these characters that the writers were putting in there. So that's why Geldor was just black, Prince Dacon was black, Garn was Native American, what's his name, and Double-Edged Sword was Asian. It was just like Larry is just like, if you're cool with this, I'm just going to make him this way.
Wasn't Lodar even called Zodak or something like in the original writing of it? And they had to change the letters. What was the character they did?
I don't remember. I do not know on that one, Joe.
Who was that? I'm trying to remember who that was. There was somebody where the name had to get switched. And I'm waiting for Grimm to pop up.
Well,
and I'm
going to put this. Larry's still alive, as far as I know.
Yeah, don't Jesus Christ, Papa, don't scare us like that. There's nothing we missed, did we? Because now I got to go online. Shit out of me.
I haven't seen it. That's why I was on my phone for a second. I was like, oh
man, please don't.
I feel like we would have heard something.
Oh, but Larry still posts on Facebook all the time. So
yeah,
he's I still love to get him back on the podcast. I do worry because we were shown footage of him and I guess one of his collaborators referring to me and Joe, but not by name, when they were at I think PowerCon or a few. It was like pre-pandemic, I think, right before the pandemic.
Yeah, I think it was 2019 PowerCon.
Yeah, and it was like they were describing us as really enthusiastic about the work, but almost to the point where I kind of got did Larry think we're weird?
Yeah, Larry's
we have a man that wears a mask
Larry's
on
here.
this show.
But,
Larry's still here. He freaked me out.
Well, yeah, Larry. Yes, I know Larry's still here. I'm just saying, what Larry.
He's still here.
I wouldn't even pay attention to shit you guys were saying when Papa Hut said that. He freaked me the fuck out. I was like, what? So I was sitting there going to Facebook saying, okay, dear God.
Oh man, well, all right, maybe this is what Papa Hutz was referring to. Maybe Larry DiTilio.
Yeah. Larry DiTilio.
I was just thinking when we were talking about Larry Houston.
I actually almost got sick for a second.
Well, when Joe comes, I'll ask you this now. When Joe comes back, we can get his opinion on it. What are your thoughts here on Grayskull? This rendering.
It's drawn a lot like that. It's drawn like a four-walled fort. I'm not sure why, but I when I would look at these mini comics a lot as a kid, I would just kind of be fascinated, or kind of like, it's not exactly what Grayskull looks like, but I was like, that's Castle Grayskull. Like I just kind of went with it, and just I still think it looks cool.
Yeah,
it's definitely not it looks more like a fort than anything else, and I'm sure
Fort Grayskull,
and I mean, by that point, the place had been out, Filmation had been out, so I would be curious to ask Larry what made him decide to draw a Grayskull like that. Was it simpler, or was he just having fun with drawing it like a fort, or maybe he was looking at some concept drawings of Grayskull and I'll just draw it like that. When we've had him on here the two times to talk about He-Man, we were so all over the place because we were a bunch of giddy Beatles fans.
Well, this was also too at the point when you hadn't gotten to this is when we were going to the conventions. You were still excited about meeting everybody. I think now if we brought Larry back, the conversation would be totally different. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, even though I feel like we got a lot, even though I think the first episode we had him on, the sound quality was not the greatest, because it was the first guest we'd ever had on too, and we were still working the kinks out and shit.
Yeah.
But I think if we ever managed to get him back, I definitely I would still be super pumped, and I would be putting his work
putting him over.
Yeah, but like crazy, but reserved as well. But
damn it! I meant to shit. Where Joe got up. Hang on, I can still. I forgot. Like, we got to do that every time someone gets up and leaves.
I know we ought to include like Jeff Daniels taking a big shit in Dumb and Dumber too for one of
Okay,
his
yeah,
bathroom breaks too.
I can do that. Oh, flush, you bastard. I'll probably put that in there as well. But yeah, if we get Larry Houston back, it would be great to talk about like everything. You know, maybe even to kind of retread on some of the stuff, because I'm sure he probably doesn't even remember half the shit that he talked about.
I think too, even like asking him like certain stuff. Like I know he doesn't remember everything, but even like just trying to like go through certain pages, like covering like one particular book. I mean, he worked on the Powers of Grayskull, the only issue we got.
Yeah.
This one, Clash of Arms, Double-Edged Sword, Temple of Darkness. I mean, he did a lot of memorable work, but I know like there's certain stuff like I know he remembers doing it, but as for like why he did certain things, I don't think he remembers everything.
Yeah.
But still, like just picking his brain and just always reminding the guy that he is one of the best, if not the best, He-Man artist. And he's up there with like Earl Norem, in terms of like the greatest who's ever illustrated He-Man. Period. And
yeah. I like having that print that I got from PowerCon.
Oh yeah,
by him. Yeah, it's really awesome.
I want people to never forget like how good he is, and he still likes to put out something. Hey, I worked on this, and I just want people who are new to He-Man or getting into it, like you need to remember Earl Norem, Larry Houston, Bruce Timm, which probably is not too hard for most people. If you're into the stuff, you're probably into Batman.
Yeah.
And Martex era, and there's other artists too.
No, I was laughing because Joe's over there fanning himself. Are you all right?
I'm trying to. No, I'm not kidding. I gotta catch my breath. I actually did go throw up. I had pizza.
Joe.
Oh, I got really worked up, man. I had a lot to eat, and then when he said that, I thought he passed away, and I got really fucking scared.
Jeez, come on,
I actually
man.
did go throw up. I'm trying to catch my breath. If you guys can talk for a bit, I'm not kidding. I'm really hot. I had to take off my scarf.
God. Well, now we needed a throwing up sound effect.
I think I got something I could. Just don't mind me. I'm just gonna try to.
Maybe you just ate some bad pizza, Joe. Where's the? I'm trying. Here we go.
He's gonna puke. He's gonna puke. He's gonna puke. He's gonna puke.
All right, now I got to take a bathroom break real quick.
Oh, all right. Well, everyone's just gonna leave, and since Joe's not talking, I guess I'll just sit here and talk to myself. Joe, do you want to give an opinion real quick on? Because Tyler and I were talking about this when you got up to go. Fort Grayskull here. Do you like this design?
Let's. It's different. I know Larry used that. I think on almost all the covers of his mini comics. I know he liked that design. It's different. I don't hate it. I could see it's like how it's kind of like a fort or a castle. What he was going with, which I don't have a problem. I like that it stands out as being something that is Larry Houston when you see it.
Yeah.
Because I think almost every mini comic cover had that. I'm sorry I don't have a lot of enthusiasm. I really was throwing up a lot. There was a lot of pizza and it was stuck because it was really thick and it was stuck in my throat.
Ugh. Yeah, man,
I wish I would have understood what he meant. I read it.
Maybe some of the pizza was bad too.
Yeah, it could have been. That I remember we talked about that page. I was like, God, it's like there's so much emotion and power in that piece.
Yeah, I think this is the money shot of the mini.
That is that talk about something that would be a great poster. It's like I think I said that before about Larry's work is every page, every panel. I could envision it as a poster. And this one, is definitely in fact, I think I had an extra copy of this as a kid. I remember just ripping that out and keeping it. Makes me want to just. It does. There's a lot of pieces it did, and it's
almost like because I'm assuming you still have it that you could blow it up and redraw it just a little bit.
You know what's weird though? Out of all the people that I've drawing or doing different things up, it's like I just can't do that with Larry's. His is perfection. It feels weird doing that, but God damn it, it's like I still would like to. I'd love to just make a big print of it. I think I can make a print of my. Oh, God, I'm sorry, man.
And put it on a shirt. Put it on a shirt. Yeah, just fan yourself off. It'll be all right. It's all good. Papa Hutz feels pretty bad.
No, man, it's not his fault. I guess I read it. We were talking about.
Well, I guess it was my fault too for not thinking like the other way around on that one. And be like, oh yeah, it's Detilio. All right, Tyler's back. We were just talking too about. I think this is the money shot of the mini comic right here.
It's definitely by far this is the most memorable panel for me, even as a kid, because of who all's featured in it. I had no idea as a kid who Spider was. I thought because Hordak was driving the land shark that this spider creature was Hordak's. Like they traded off. Like, you get one of my vehicles, I'll get yours.
The color scheme perspective, you would think that would be a Hordak vehicle, you know?
Yeah, and I could see that because I never saw the toy. I never saw any pictures of Spydor. And actually, like, because I didn't know Night Stalker's name, so I thought there's Stridor and Spydor. That was my, until I saw, like, oh no, the actual mechanical spider is named Spydor. Like, oh, okay, well, it does make sense. But this, because Jitsu's featured in it, Cobra Khan, Whiplash, Spikor. I mean, just everyone's in like such. I even drew that shot of Cobra Khan in a. It's in my one of my old drawing books that I had done. I was trying to draw like a group shot of like a bunch of the He-Man villains, and I actually just drew like free. I didn't trace or shit, but I just redrew that version of Cobra Khan that Larry had drawn, along with like Bruce Timm's, I think Ninjor and Filmation style Trap Jaw, and try. I think I tried to draw this version of Skeletor as well, like the one like above in the sky, because it was just such an epic looking, picture of Skeletor. But just to have them all, like, just this imagery too of like a large portal opening up and the Horde and the Evil Warriors all coming out of one portal ready to like tear the shit apart. Yeah, I mean, just epic. Why we couldn't get that kind of team up in Filmation for just a half an episode? Like to see like Grizzlord.
This would have been a fun episode of Filmation.
Oh God, it would have been. I mean, a big two-parter, like build up, like the episode.
Yeah, have the first episode ends when the portal opens and they come out and there's Castle Grayskull. It's like to be continued. And you're like, oh no, oh shit. Yeah,
oh no.
Yeah, that would have been. That needs to be another sound effect. I need to.
Yeah, we do need to have Trey Parker's.
Thoughts on the color of Cyclone here?
I've never been a fan of him getting flesh tone, and he's drawn like that a couple times. He's drawn like that in his own mini comic, Spikor Strikes. I don't know why. It's like obviously they were going for that. Probably in the preliminary sketches, probably that he was going to be humanoid or human or flesh tone, and not blue skinned. And as a kid, you sit and read this stuff, you're like, why is he drawn like that or colored like that? Like that's not right.
Yeah.
But you just go along with it. So it's just like as kids, we're not stupid. We're young and inexperienced, don't know everything, but we know what we like. And you're like, that's not familiar. Like, what is wrong here?
Yeah. I think anytime I saw any sort of indiscrepancies with that in comic books or, in the Turtle cartoon, it was infamous for having those mistakes early on. I never thought anything of it. I was just like, oh yeah, they kind of messed up, but whatever. That's kind of cool. Like I never thought much of it as a kid.
I mean, I see those I understood as mistakes, but like in this, I'm like, this was drawn, this was colored.
It was deliberately done as such.
Yeah. So the cartoon stuff was more forgivable, even though at times it was irritating. Like if they changed the voice actor, like that's not the voice of Shredder. This is bullshit.
I like this shot of Montana. And the bottom
I do
right
too.
Here.
Yeah, like the fact that Montana is like ready to not only attack He-Man, but He-Man and the Bashosaurus. Like
he got a good push in this.
He got a good
push in this.
Yeah, I think all the Horde did, and such a memorable pose, probably one of the most iconic, which is sadly underused, of Montana. Period. Because I think most people, like Joe has said, they will use Filmation because he was the biggest whipping boy in that cartoon.
Yeah.
And yet here he's ready to take on He-Man one-on-one, and I just love the confidence level of the Horde in this. I mean, Hordak is he's ready to kick everyone's ass. Hordak, Leech, Grizzlor, Mantana, they're all. It does suck that Modulok was not featured, but also the fact that he got his own mini comic, which I kind of feel like that mini comic takes place after the events of this, which would have been cool if Modulok had been established in an earlier mini comic, like somewhere that's a more Evil Warrior base, like if it came with, a Too Bad mini comic or Spike, or like you just see him in Snake Mountain working on something unnamed, and then Skeletor gets mad at him and like, send me Too Bad, he'll know what to do, and then next thing you know, like Modulok's like, man, fuck that asshole, I'm out of here, I'm gonna go work for Hordak.
Well, it's funny too that Skeletor's talking all this shit, and all of a sudden that portal just opens up.
Yeah.
The bad timing of that. And I like how you kind of allude to the portal opening up, and it's almost like since He-Man's seeing it happen, that's when he's just deciding to ask this question because he knows that Skeletor's going to fuck up.
Yeah. Or it could be taken that,
I mean, yeah, but
I'm just like ready to just say, all right, what the hell makes you think you guys can work together? Like, seriously,
I kind of like the idea though that he sees Hordak,
which it does play up like He-Man, like deliberately setting up the betrayal.
Yeah,
like even if at this point, because we're not led to, even though we know they're going to turn on each other, they are still working together. But Skeletor's more pissed off at the fact that Hordak's driving the Land Shark than anything else.
Yeah,
like he's not mad that he's pretty much taken Stinkor hostage, but that he's driving the Land Shark, and which as a kid when I read them, like he's really pissed off about it, which is why I thought Spydor was Hordak's, and like almost like you can't ride one of my vehicles, that's mine.
Yeah, but that would make any sense for Skeletor to like, I'm going to take your vehicle and then get mad that he's driving one of his.
Well, if that spoiled brat mentality, like I want everything, you can't have anything.
Yeah,
that kind of. But that was my perception. But obviously that was not part of the agreement, and but why wouldn't Hordak feel more comfortable going into battle driving a tank? Why should he just walk right into battle without having anything if Skeletor was going to do that? So, and Hordak at this point had no vehicles established in the toy line, so he would just kind of have to. That's why I kind of feel like this would be like, before he really starts dabbling in technology. That he's
wouldn't
still
it have
relying
been
on.
Awesome though to have a shot of Skeletor on Spydor and then Hordak in the Mantisaur.
Yeah, that'd have been awesome.
Like, this, by the way, is I know we had talked about the money shot of the mini comic, but I think this might be my favorite.
Well, this was, I think, would be the next part, because the one big battle sequence where, like, you see who's fighting who, and
they're all talking trash to each other.
Yeah, it's just where the minute Hordak and Skeletor disagree, they're like, all right, fuck the heroic warriors in Grayskull, and it's almost like they couldn't wait. I want an opportunity to kick the shit out of Grizzlor. Like, it's
like it's been building prior to this.
Like they're all at Snake Mountain hanging out, waiting for them to get the green light to go.
Yeah,
and they've just been sizing each other up. That guy's not so tough. Like, you just know, like,
I could take him.
Yeah. It's just, but it's fun to think about that.
Yeah.
That they would be thinking this, that they all feel like they're the best at what they do, and they're working for the better side. And even though, like, in the next page, which I love the fact, I was pissed off that Cobra Khan got knocked out by Montana, because, like I said, I'm Team Skeletor as a kid. But I loved how, like, Grizzlor looks so vicious attacking Whiplash here, but Whiplash looks so, like, calm of, like, I'm going to knock the shit out of you. And that, Leech, attacks Jitsu, then Jitsu kicks the shit out of him. Like you see that green drool get kicked out of his mouth. Like,
I get him kicking him, but I think it would have been cooler to have the hand actually coming down on him instead.
Yeah, which or like knocking the shit, like a side chop, to the face, because Jitsu's looks like he's heading towards the ground and on the ground at that point, and to have like karate chopped him.
No, that would have been good. As he's coming down, you just have that shot where he's just like kind of just uppercutting him.
Yeah,
a side swipe.
Yeah.
Maybe,
God, I wish we could get Larry to draw that. Larry, would you do that for us? I'll pay you.
Ren, get on it.
Oh yeah, well, just have Ren do it. Yeah, Ren.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
And moving on to the next page, I like this, how all the heroic warriors just sort of just standing there bewildered. They're like, oh, what the fuck?
Which is a great shot, because there's so many characters represented, but they're just in shock. And it said here, which I've always was led to believe that, I could see these factions just turning on themselves because they get pissed off at each other. Like, what the hell are you doing? I'm carrying the fight. Why aren't you kicking his ass? And they just get mad at each other. And then they turn on each other.
Yeah.
So it said here that it was drawn as a mistake, and maybe the original script. But I think it works as if like, Leech is like pissed off that Grizzlord's not taking care of Whiplash, and they're talking shit like, "Come on, man, quit! Quit! You need to be picking up the slack here. We're losing." And Gor's like, "Shut the fuck up, man! Like, fuck this." I could totally see these guys actually getting mad at each other.
Yeah.
After getting mad at each other.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what you deal with villains
in teams.
Villains in teams. Yeah.
Teams like sports players get mad at each other all the time on the same team.
Yeah, it even happens with heroic warriors. No, you see it in comic books all the time. Thank you. Yeah, like I see it a lot in the Fantastic Four, where like Ben Grimm gets pissed at people. Okay, Joe just left. All right.
I guess he's having connection issues again.
No, I bet it's probably just like, I threw up and I got nothing. I'm hot and I gotta go.
Okay.
Anyway,
okay, well, Joe, we hope you're all right.
Yeah. Thanks, Papa Huds. It's all your fault.
Yeah.
No, it's partially my fault too, because I like brought it up. I just didn't think Joe was like immediately. It's like, dude, like no, like I guess I fucked up on that end.
How did you fuck up on that end?
Well, because it was Larry DiTillio that he was referring to.
Yeah. But look, that's nobody's fault. Like that's Joe going,
100 miles an hour.
Yeah, I'm like that's
0 to 100 in a snap of a finger.
That's self-induced. Okay, that's nobody's fault. Like that's Joe not even taking time to process, shit off the internet.
Just immediately, I gotta throw up.
Yeah, so no, that's his fault. He needs to control himself more before, and then wait to get the facts before you like free will, right? And bam,
Yeah. See, when I was reading this page, I got confused at first because he says by the power of Grayskull, and I was like, oh, wait, he's already transformed. But then I was like, oh, I love this part a lot too. This is like my second favorite. Well, I guess technically it'd be the third favorite because I like the shot of the villains about to fight each other. I like the money shot that we were discussing earlier, but I love the fact that despite all of this, he could have let them eat each other alive, and he decides to take his sword and just draw a divide between both sides.
Just cut the shit out,
just to show his strength and ability.
Yeah, and I mean enough to where all right, we're out. The plan has failed, and He-Man pretty much saw to that. Even though it failed him because they couldn't get along, obviously. But He-Man is just like, you guys aren't doing this shit. You're done. You're out. And Hordak knows like this was a waste of time. We're out of here. And of course, Skeletor's got to run away. I'll kick your ass someday. And but I mean that's the way it needed to be. Even though He-Man stops the fight, the villain. This is a villain story. I mean, the heroic warriors are in it. They all take a back seat. I mean, from the entire thing, and then that's why it's so colorful. It's so vibrant. It's so action oriented. Because the villains, even though Spike was like barely in this, but he's in it for like 3 panels, and that's it.
Yeah.
He's knocked out from the fight, but it's enough to where like the 85 roster of characters included with some of the 84 roster are all so well represented with a brand new faction of villains to the series. Now you talk about like something could be easily oversaturated to the point like, I mean, you look at a lot of like superhero movies now where they have got too many villains and people are all like, okay, we got too many characters here. It's unbalanced. It's all over the place. It's not working. This works in 14 pages.
Well, do you think that that's just because everyone was kind of used sparingly? It's like a dash of you, a dash of you, a dash of you, and then you're not overstaying your welcome.
Well, I mean, Hordak and Skeletor are given prime time to like shine. It's not like they're like Grizzlord and Leech and Montana are cutting a lot of monologues along with the Evil Warriors. Like Triclops and Evelyn are given very little speaking parts, but pretty much the only ones. And then the only other time the Evil Warriors speak is when they're fighting each other.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's at least you wanting more, but I feel like it's a very fair depiction of everybody. I can't sit there and say that I'm mad that Roboto didn't fight anybody. Like, well, when you see the heroic warriors, they're just on guard at Castle Grayskull, like they're just caught off guard, and then things take off, and then when it looks like it's overwhelming, Skeletor starts bragging about, "Hey, we're gonna win."
Yeah.
And then He-Man calls him on his shit, and then
Yeah.
boom, they've just
blows up in
imploded.
his face. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's so well written that you feel like, we didn't get to see Fisto and Jitsu fight. We didn't get to see Roboto fight.
Yeah.
Manny Faces gets to fight. Cyclone gets to fight. Ram Man's featured. I mean, it's,
But it's just, I mean, obviously
you can't do everything.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, obviously, with it only being 14 pages, there's only so much you can do. But I think that helps this in the long run. And I always like the line, "You'll rue the day." I always like it anytime a villain says that. So I just want to toss that out there.
And it's just, constantly reminding you, the war has just begun, which is pretty much, setting up that the Horde are here to stay.
Yeah.
They're on another planet, but they're going to be a constant threat.
They can come and go whenever they want.
Yeah. And, they want Grayskull as much as Skeletor. So we've also got another threat, which just ups the ante to the world building. Yeah. That, it's not just Skeletor and others on Eternia. We got people from other galaxies that are looking to come here and take what we got. So even more responsibility for He-Man, which means He-Man's going to need more heroic warriors to join the fight.
And you can produce more toys that way.
Exactly. It's like poetry, so they rhyme.
Yeah. I think I whatever about it, but I don't like the hip hip hooray thing.
I didn't like that as a kid either, because I'm like, even though like you'd hear hooray a few times in the cartoon, but I'm like, I don't want to picture any of my heroic warriors going hip hip hooray. Like,
well, they could have easily have said, when Skeletor's saying here, the battle now is over, but mark my words, the war has just begun. You can have that cool shot of everyone standing there and He-Man saying, "Well, when it does, we'll be here," or something, like showing them, just instead of being like, "Yay, hip hip hooray!" Like they're like, "Yes, bring on the war." I don't know.
Well, I mean, obviously it means like, "Hey, we won."
Yeah,
but it's not like I never look at it as like,
But I'm saying like the badass way to do it would just have He-Man saying something to retort it,
or even just like, I mean, it really could have ended just with the shot of He-Man's sword there, and with like a bubble there, it just says, and we'll be waiting.
Yeah. Yes.
Which is how I wrote one of my mini comics that won't ever get drawn. But that's how I actually ended that particular mini comic.
Fuck yeah, man.
But it's a beautiful illustration of He-Man and Orko, and He-Man assuring him, we'll be ready. Yes. But true alliances are built on trust, a trait that evil doers will never share, which is a very, trite and true statement.
It's always amusing that they always have a tendency to play that thing to where it's like, all right, they're going to attempt to team up, but it's all going to fall apart. I would like to see something where it does kind of stick a little bit,
at least for a little bit.
Episode.
Me too. Because we all, especially like in comic books, like it's fun to see the villains team up, not just for an issue,
yes,
but for multiple issues. And of course, that it's someone's going to get pissed, or someone's going to betray the other, or not pull their fair share, and or someone gets their ass kicked. So it's all up to one of them. I mean, it goes different ways, but it's so much fun to see evil team up with other evil, like the Sinister Six is why it's one of my favorite groups, because it was just so much fun. And to see like any of the Hordemen team up with the evil warriors, like it's just it's something we never got to see. This is it. This is all we ever got to see.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, because there's so much fun to be had to feel like they have like at least a 3-part story arc of like the Horde and the evil warriors teaming up. They succeed in the second issue, and then the alliance falls apart in the third issue. Something that just at least you could sit there and say, these guys are shaking hands, they're making it work. It's working, but greed and hey, I'm going to backstab you, like that instinct is what will always end the alliance. Much like King Hiss and Skeletor, like they had a long alliance. I mean, it lasted till the end of the toll line, knowing full well that they're going to kill the other or try to.
Yeah.
But at least from 86 to 87, they were always depicted as working together, always. It's just, but I'm sure some people probably like the idea that Hordak is like, no, we're not doing this. I hate King Hiss. I hate Skeletor.
Yeah.
We're our own faction. We don't need to team up with anybody else.
Yeah, but I think that that mini comic is up there for me as one of the
Yeah.
best that I've covered with you guys on the show.
It is. It's an absolute blast. I feel like it's not, in the community. Like I know people liked it, but I feel like it was, those first 4 mini comics, because of how they're drawn, people were just like, jerking off about this first 4 so damn much. Like, oh, it's barbaric. Like, no, it's not, people. It's not barbaric at all. And yet you feel like they were the only ones that were talked about to an insane amount. Whereas like this and Clash of Arms were like, what the fuck, man? Like, how is it like the two with the most fighting are not brought up at all or referenced or anything like that? I remember like, just...
Well, all right. Do you think that most of that with those first 4 mini comics have more just because of the nostalgia involved of when that time period is when the vast majority of those people were collecting, because it was the hot new thing? And these mini comics come a little later in the line when people were starting to drop out of collecting.
I mean, I guess if those people that love it so much just came for that one wave and then they stopped collecting, I don't know, because they're not even comic books; they're little story books.
Well, yeah,
and not very good stories at all. Like they're just not.
But I'm saying I think that it's more based in the nostalgia bit.
Well, but I anytime I saw people like and Alfredo's work is phenomenal. It looks beautiful. I love it. But the white people are just like, it's like, no, it's this and nothing else. Like I like, for one thing, you're limiting your fandom. Like why would you want to suppress like all these other wonderful stories and characters and beautiful artwork because you think these first 4 stories, and Joe went to war with all these people on so many occasions, and it's just like he calls them out on it, and of course they have no real defense because they don't actually bother to read the damn books.
Right?
They just say, "Oh no, it's awesome because it's barbarian." Because I read somebody else called them barbaric, and there's blood. So like, no, it's not. Well, someone said it was, and that's what I want to believe in. And like, because I can't be made a fool on the internet, and I'll just keep arguing until you get tired of it. Because that's the mentality, is argue because no one wants to be made a fool of being called out for being a dumbass. It's not being a dumbass for liking what you like. It's being a dumbass for thinking like, oh, it's the culture. It's the culture
these days. I'm gonna pop this up from Ren. There was a private chat from Joe where he said I'm gonna puke again. He can't continue.
Oh, shit. All right, sorry, Joe.
Maybe the pizza was bad. That's why
you should have got it from the Dollar Tree.
No, there we go. I'll have to ask him where he got it from. We got this from Ren. He sent you an update and would like to see your reaction live. And while Tyler does that, I will pass along to his chat. If you guys have any questions, throw them our way. It could be about anything. If it's Master Universe related, any other stuff. I actually have a question queued up.
It's the right pose. If you could maybe put the hand back, like he's almost got the sword behind him, like the sword's upside down. But like he's almost like going to whip it around, kind of like you got the right clutch. If you could maybe put the sword further back. So yeah, and the colors look great. You nailed the colors perfectly, Ren. Like the colors are vibrant. They look great.
Hell yeah. So there we go.
Yeah.
Look at that. Tyler, I'm sure Ren's just like, all right, fine, fuck.
Hey, but look, this is what Axel and Kevin have gone through too. Like all the illustrations, Axel and Kevin are like, can you adjust this pose?
Well,
like this?
Tyler is a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to that sort of thing.
But I pretty much like a lot of this stuff here. I let them kind of come up with their own poses. Like there's very specific things I may ask for, but for the most part, like the stuff Axel's done for me, I said I just want these characters featured on this location, and he comes up with all the poses. Kevin did the same thing over here. I said I want these characters featured. I want this background, and like all the poses Kevin did here, those are all his. I may have asked to adjust one thing, but for the most part, because I want the artists to have fun with these things. Killing me! Look how long I've been waiting for you to do this damn layout. I don't want to hear it, and you've been paid.
I like how this is a reoccurring thing. How Ren's in the chat and you guys just butt heads.
Axel had the layout done in about a day or two after I paid him. What did you do? Like, shit. Oh, gee, man,
what a great partnership you guys are establishing right now.
Well, I would hope that maybe we could get like one of these mini comics that I have yet to get. Well, I've had one done, but I had all those that would never really came to fruition.
Hey, there you go, Ren. Just be like, hey man, that's $25.
Charge me extra.
Yeah.
Get the hell
change
out of
the
here,
pose.
Gibson. Change of pose. Jeez.
We're
doing 2 characters here. It's not like it's going to be like, 10 characters, no, we're talking 2 characters here.
Here's our first question. This comes back from earlier when we were talking about the play sets. TMNT play sets versus Motu play sets. Who wins?
Well, He-Man's going to win every time. But
I
love the sewer place at the Technodrome, which I own the Technodrome in the other room.
I got 2 of them. One in the box
yes,
and one
does. So they are awesome play sets. Like both of them are even like the smaller play sets, like that one small play set where you could dump like the Flush-O-Matic where you dump the slime. I remember the commercial for that. I always wanted that toy.
And the vibrant colors with
and all the the muck stickers that you could put on there. Yep. They were always all the turtle stuff was great until they started getting in like the shitty variants like Farmer Mike and Cowboy Don shit
Canadian
like that.
Canadian Moose. Basketball draft.
His name's Half Court.
Well, I just think about that.
I know. I wish we could find that cart. That.
It used to be on YouTube, and then the audio didn't work anymore.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. What was it? The last Ninja Turtle toy commercial?
Yeah, that's what it was called. Yeah, and I've looked it up several times myself using that same title and never could find it. I guess like someone got mad and like, no, this is wrong. This is evil.
They probably took it down. But what a great commercial that was. I'm gonna go with Turtle play sets. A little biased because that was I was more focused on that than Master Universe at that point. Like I've said plenty of times that I started collecting it like hand-me-down stuff or like getting it from flea markets. It wasn't so much buying it new from the store. But Turtles, that was like as soon as I was in that. I have a room dedicated in my house that just has all my Ninja Turtle shit in it. So. Which
I envy that because even though with my apartment, like my turtle collection is in my bedroom with like my wall of turtle stuff. I need to work my Ultimates in there too because I've got the Ultimates in the other room.
Yeah, I'm gonna move the Ultimates down there with those as well to free up some space to work something in right there at the computer desk. But I'm gonna go with Turtles on that one.
I won't dispute that.
Here's one from Febmon earlier. It has to do with the mini comic. One of the evil warriors had to get the land shark back. Which one do you think Skeletor sent to get it back? He's talking about when the portal reopens and the land shark's there. He's implying what if they went ahead and just took the land shark and went through the portal? Who would Skeletor do you think would send to?
I don't think
retrieve it?
I don't think I'd want Stink or retrieve anything because he'd leave his stench all over the land shark. So I would probably have to send Jitsu probably back. Even though Jitsu's got one good hand that could steer it, I don't know. Whiplash could fit in there with his tail. Cobra Khan, if Cobra Khan was not completely knocked out cold by Montana's optic blast, then I would probably send Cobra Khan because he's definitely one of the smartest.
I would actually.
Plus, he drove the land shark in the cartoon also one time.
I would send a couple. That way, you get some dialogue between the two of them,
like talking about the aftermath. Like, man, I swear I'm going to get that son of a bitch leech.
Yes. Yeah, and then you could build it up to where.
Then I would have Cobra Khan and Jitsu.
Okay.
Go back through the portal to retrieve the land shark and just talking about
And who would they
get a chance to kick Fisto's ass too? And he was right over there.
And who would they fight with to try it once they're through there?
I'd say like Roboto and Fisto be on guard duty. Like after the fight's over with, they kind of feel okay. We just went through all this. They're not going to come back immediately, so we can just leave a few on guard duty. So we can leave Roboto.
No, I was saying like the land shark went through the portal with Hordak.
Oh, like Hordak took the land shark.
Yes. Because in that shot when he's saying you'll rue the day, the portal's open, but the land shark is there off to the side. So it's not like Hordak took the land shark with him, though. No, that's what I'm saying. Is Febmon is saying, assuming he did. Let's say that
he's asking if they did that.
No, he's putting in the scenario that what if Hordak took the land shark since Skeletor was so like, that's mine, took it through the portal with him. He's saying, what evil warriors would Skeletor send through the portal to go and get the land shark back?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Web store, Cobra Khan.
There you go, just not paying attention again.
Well, I thought you were talking about the mini comic. Like literally, like as if like that happened. Like, well, that didn't really happen. But
It's a scenario spinoff.
I thought because like everyone just takes off and leaves the land shark in front of Grayskull. I thought you were asking who would Skeletor send to go retrieve it from
No, see, this is
Grayskull.
what Fedmon said before. Why didn't Hordak steal the land shark at the end? And who do you think Skeletor sent to retrieve it if he did?
Oh, okay. Well,
Yes.
I mean, maybe he just felt like Skeletor's equipment was inferior. Or he didn't need it, because I felt like at this point, like Hordak is more magic based. He's not really dabbling in technology a lot at this point. That's why I always thought the idea of introducing Modulok to the Horde would be like his introduction to like, I want more technology, and that's why the Fright Zone becomes this giant factory, where he creates the Horde troopers, and Multibot gets created, Dylamug, and all these other, even like in the cartoon, like Hordak says that Horde science created the Horde. Like Grizzlord and Manta, which I'm like, I don't buy that part.
I kind of don't buy into that either.
Yeah, I think like the mechanical based part, like the Horde Troopers, Multibot, which is created by Modulok, but the Modulok is like
that makes sense because it's mechanical, but not say like it's like, oh yes, these were made in a lab to create these other.
No, it's very like limiting. It doesn't. It takes away from the vast universe that these characters could all come from.
I like more of the idea that they are part of races that Hordak along his path of destruction and was like, join me or you will be demolished.
Or join because like I can reward you with the greatest riches. You can lead my armies.
Yes, well, one or the other. You can play along with both.
Oh, I'm sure he would use threats. He's Hordak. So, but I the idea that Grizzlord, Mantana, and Leech were grown in a lab is bullshit. I never bought that idea.
I'm with you on that one.
I just feel like it's too damn limiting, and I don't need to know there's a race of Grizzlords and Leeches out there.
Yeah, when I threw out races of them, that was just kind of like a general statement. I don't like the idea that you would see like
because that's the kind of shit Scott Nolick would do.
Yeah. No. I'm just saying like for whatever reason, because when you think about it in a realistic standpoint, it's like, all right, well, it would kind of have to be sort of a race in a way to produce more that would look like that or whatever, but that's
I guess so,
but
it's
too much.
But I also feel like too, like a lot of these characters could be like the last of their races, like like Beastman. I kind of felt like is like the last of whatever his species is. Webstore, like even though a lot of these guys are very humanoid, like the Snake Men, you could buy that Cobra Khan is a descendant of the Snake Men themselves. But so far removed that he is aware of who they are, but his allegiance is to Skeletor. Like he's not really like, he's set up as a spy for Skeletor. But hey, I am a descendant of the Snake Men. Why not me join them? Which is depicted in King of the Snake Men. But like a bunch of Mantanas, like Mantana, like. They're so unique and different. Like it's ridiculous to even stop and think that there's a race of Mantanas, that there's a race of Moduloks.
Yeah, and that's where it's like you start to think about it just too much. So it's like you have to peel back a little bit and not really think that way. But it was
and that's why I feel like you could get away with a couple of characters that, like even in like the last episode of the Formation series where Cobra Khan comes from the Reptons.
Yeah,
well, I'm fine with that. And you could even say the Reptons are a branch and descendant of the Snake Men family tree, of what the Snake Men derive from. Much like how Tongue Lasher looks nothing like Rattler. Rattler looks nothing like Squeeze. And Snakeface, I think we said before, he's more human-like than Snake Man, like almost like he is a priest of the Snake Man. I think it's what we said in like our discussion. Like, would it be cool if like he was a priest, like a loyal servant to the Snake Men, and became a Snake Man with the powers of Medusa, but that there's so many branches of the Snake Man that you could get away with like having different races throughout there and say, oh, I'm a Snake Man, but to have like races of like Trapjaw is clear they're not coming from a race. I don't know, maybe well because he is built. Triclops is a bounty hunter, so that's not when he's a human race, but like Merman, like Fishman. I mean, that makes sense, but I kind of feel like he is his own thing, and he has no allegiance to any, almost like he is the commander of the oceans. Like there are no other outside of like the fishmen you see in Tila's quest that he's commanding. It's almost like he is pretty much left to kind of roam the oceans as like his own thing if he wants to, and control aquatic sea life and tidal waves and make him like the Namor or Aquaman of this area where he has no one to answer to other than Skeletor. Like but then again, too, if you make him too powerful, then it's like, why the hell do I need Skeletor? I can control the seas.
Yeah,
like, I control damn near most of the planet. What the hell do I need a side?
So
side
that's
with
why,
you?
yeah. And then you turn to that whole balancing act, and I think that's a thing that I don't know. I think once you start thinking about it too much, then it's easier to really start nitpicking everything.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of feel like, what, maybe Merman doesn't need to control sea life. Like, more or less, like, he just is a fisherman who's very strong, who can live underwater, but live above water, which makes him a threat to getting around underwater where most people cannot go.
Mm-hmm.
That he is a evil fish man, and that is it. Because Beastman already controls, most animals anyway. So I kind of feel like it's a little redundant to have another guy who can control all sea life. Like, it's different,
true.
but redundant, I think, at the same time. And it kind of like, what, we have one guy that can do that, and Merman, I don't think, needs to do that at all. But that was a really long-winded answer. Sorry.
Question from Papa Huds for me. What do you think about the whole CM Punk debacle? Jesus Christ, does that man know how to burn bridges everywhere that he goes? So, for those that are confused about what that has to do with, the short answer is they put the AEW title on him. He got injured, so they had an interim champion. Then he lost the belt, and then a week later he won it back. And then they did their post-media scrum, as they call it, where it's just like they're taking questions from the various wrestling journalists, and I'm sure there were like Sports Illustrated people, whatever, that cover it. He goes on this tirade about Colt Cabana, and he sets it up because I guess Colt Cabana was friends with one of these wrestling journalists, but they also had a falling out because there's the audio where he's like, oh, well, he's like, who did you do improv with? Because he was trying to find a way to bring him up. I mean, when the guy's like, yeah, but we're not friends anymore. It's like, all right, well, you ruined it. He said it audibly. Well, you ruined the spot or whatever. Goes on this tirade because him and Colt Cabana had this whole lawsuit or whatever. And then he starts ripping on the EVPs, which are the Young Bucks and Omega, about how they couldn't manage a target and whatever. And he was like, if anyone's got a problem with me, they know where to find me, whatever. And this is where it gets confusing because the Bucks and Omega brought one of the HR representatives, went to his locker room, and I guess he was immediately punched one of the Young Bucks, and then Punk's friend Ace Steel, who's like a producer or something at AEW, threw a chair at one of the other Young Bucks and like bit Kenny Omega, and everybody got suspended or whatever. And people were like, is Punk coming back? Is he not? And it seems like a lifetime ago, but it was only like a month ago. But I don't know. To me, that was one of those things that he shouldn't have said anything like that during the scrum. That seems more like behind closed doors. People don't need to know about any of that shit. Settle your stuff. Like, why do that publicly? It made no sense. It just made him look like an asshole, which he's always kind of been an asshole anyway. And it sucks because like I liked him. I kind of don't anymore because I'm just like, he's such like everywhere he's always got a price. If he's not the main focus, then he's mad about it. And people like don't know if he's coming back. And then, people are like, well, is Tony Khan? I feel like Tony Khan, the owner of this, has put too many eggs in that CM Punk basket, and now it's just blowing up in his face. So we'll see how that goes, or if the Bucks and Omega come back. And I'm like, well, Cody left, and I'm like, what is happening? It's like, it is like WCW, but different. But I'm like, why? None of that stuff needs to happen. So, yeah, Punk's an asshole, but he knows it. And whatever. I think this time it really bit him in the ass. I know you don't really have much because you don't really keep up with it.
Well, I don't have cable anyway, so I couldn't watch it anyway. But I know Nathan will keep me up to date. He'll send me stuff about what's going on, and I'll watch what he sends me.
It's just like, do that shit when there aren't cameras rolling. Like talk to, like confront them.
And Tony Khan just looks like he is being like,
and that's the word. That's the worst part is like Tony Khan's just sitting there while this is happening and you can see his face. He's just like bewildered. And I'm like, he's talking shit about your company and you're just sitting there and taking it. I would have been like, all right, hey, nope, yep, we're stopping this right now. No more comments.
I know Tony Khan has like talked shit about like old school WCW and made remarks saying, hey, if they had done this deal, they'd still be in business. Like, Tony, you're one of the boys. You're not, a wrestling promoter. You're just a guy who loved wrestling and just had access to a lot of money.
And that's part of it too, is he's trying to just like everybody. And it's like, no, that's why Vince was as successful as he was, because he was that guy.
He had to be an asshole.
He's the end all be all. And for him to not put his foot down during that and call him immediately out, I was like, hey man, no, like cut it. Let's, you go cool off. And he just sat there and let it happen. And I'm like, fuck. So it just created all these problems. I hope, it seems like they're starting to bounce back from it, but even TV, we'll watch it. Some of the Dynamites have just been lately like, all right, yeah, I don't know. His booking style is weird because people will get really hot and then they won't be on TV for a while. And I'm like, the crowds are there and then you don't see them for a month. And I'm like, they just lose the heat a little bit. It's weird. It's really weird. And then like WWE is starting to, since Vince is gone and Triple H is running everything, like that's starting to turn into gradually a product that's like people are getting a little more excited about. But at the same time too, I don't think wrestling will ever be it'll probably never be another boom period again. I think it's going to settle into this very, like, the people that have been there and have stuck with it will be there, and then there's always just that niche like internet hardcore crowd, and I don't think
it'll just be a safe product from here on out.
Yeah,
it's not going to be cutting edge, or anything like that.
Adam Gabbert, here's a question about Salute Your Shorts. It's Dr. Khan, but he wanted to know like if we remembered him. Yeah.
Yes.
They never showed Dr.
No,
Khan.
no.
It was just that disembodied voice making the announcements.
Yeah, and you see his niece in one episode.
Yeah.
But that was about the extent of like, seeing anything of Dr. Khan. This is Dr. Khan. Kevin, I've canceled your evening off.
Well, what was the episode with his niece? What happened in that one? You're gonna have to.
She's thinking about coming to camp there, and of course she's a brat, so she just starts going around and tormenting and tearing up stuff that belongs to the immediate the cast. Yeah. And then it gets to where they're chasing her around, and then they just start ignoring her, and they pretty much give her comeuppance. And Dr. Khan is like, "This is wonderful." Like, he was so glad that they gave her shit back.
Yeah, I gotta see if I can. I was gonna try to see if I could find her because I can't remember what she looked like.
Yeah, she's a little bratty blonde-haired girl.
Yeah, I see. I was already like, did she have blonde hair? I don't know why my brain just.
Yeah. God, there's so, like when Sponge goes to the movies on that blind date. That was one of my favorite episodes with Penske. So the whole crew shows up at the movie theater, like trying to like spy on the date, and then Ugg shows up. So the whole crew is like running around the movie theater, trying to avoid being caught by him. And Ugg ends up like manhandling some girl in the bathroom that he thinks is Budnick. Oh God, it's so awesome! God,
I need to watch
best episodes.
Yeah, I need to watch some more Salute Your Shorts, because honestly, the ones that always stuck out to me were the Capture the Flag episode.
Oh yeah, it's one of mine too.
Because I always wanted to do that.
Me too. Zeke the plumber.
Zeke the plumber is like for me that's always like.
Because they would always play that, like Nickelodeon
during Halloween
in October. Yeah, it was always, because on like Saturdays they'd play the Mark Summers like magic. It was like a Mark Summers, like kind of like a story of like going to like a magical warehouse or museum or something. I forgot what it was called.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, I barely watched it because I didn't think it was that interesting. But they would have Halloween themed episodes of like Salute Your Shorts would come on, any of the Halloween shows of like the Nicktoons. Or any of the stuff that they had in syndication that they would play, like Beetlejuice and Muppet Babies or something like that. They would play like the Halloween-themed episode of that. But seeing the Zeke the Plumber episode around Halloween on a Saturday afternoon or evening was always a big deal. And then, of course, Are You Afraid of the Dark?
And Zeke was creepy. That was like
Zeke was creepy.
Effective look.
It was, and just like for Michael to wake up and look over in your bunk and see some guy like plunging a toilet and there's nobody else in, like, what the fuck, man? Like, I found that legitimately creepy when I was a kid watching that.
I did too.
Yeah.
I did too. I need to.
In that same episode, Budnick's like arguing with Mike, and he goes, I just cut one.
I
we'll
need to
see
get.
that on Nickelodeon cartoons or shows now.
Yeah, no, I need to get my Zeke the Plumber T-shirt that I got and
Yeah,
wear that on the
dude.
show sometime. Here's a question from Gavin. Pop culture question: you think they'll ever work on the Schumacher cut of Batman Forever? And would y'all
God, I
be
wish.
interested in seeing it? I've always had a soft spot for Forever. I would
Me
watch
too.
it.
Yeah, especially because I bought the comic book adaptation of that because I bought that for Batman Returns and Batman Forever, and you'd see stuff that's in the comic book that was in the movie, like the Riddler giving like this giant shot to Chase Meridian. Like I saw a picture in Cinescape magazine of that, like the actual of Jim Carrey doing that. It's in the comic book, but it's not in the movie. So there's the shots of like Arkham Asylum, like the Bat must die with like Two-Face rubbing blood on his cell. So I was like, whoa, that wasn't the movie. So I don't know why Warner Brothers has not jumped on that. Like they know fans will just they just will buy this shit up, and yet there's some stingy at. Of course, the way they're cutting shit left and right at Warner Brothers right now.
That would be the biggest holdup to it, where they're just like, no, that costs too much money, can't do it.
Yeah,
because to have that Bat. What is it, Batwoman or Batgirl?
Batgirl.
I don't know why I said
Batwoman.
Batwoman said that. That's that shitty CW TV show.
Yeah.
To take that, already have it in the can, and then just be like, no.
Yeah.
Because it would be more cost effective to destroy it and get the tax write off than it would be to put it out there and attempt to make money off of it. That, like, to me, that doesn't make any sense.
I mean, and they can the Batman animated series that they were bringing Bruce Timm back to work on.
Oh, yeah.
Like that whole thing was shit canned. I mean, like, it just makes you wonder. Like, but the Blue Beetle film that they're working on that has Miguel from Cobra Kai, that's still going. Aquaman 2 is still going, even with all the stuff they do with Amber Heard. We got to cut her out of the movie, which costs money to do that.
And that Flash movie's coming out.
The Flash movie,
after all that Ezra Miller bullshit.
Yeah, like,
that's still coming out.
That's still coming out, but it does make you wonder. This new head of the studio that's coming in and just cutting stuff. It's like I'm sure they're not going to come out and just tell you exactly what's going on because they don't want any bad publicity and pissing off.
Well, that's why I hate mergers. I hate when all these companies start to merge with each other because it's going to affect with HBO Max. Like next year, that's going to merge with the Discovery app and be like something. And I'm like, it's going to turn into a thing where it's like people will bow out, and then it's just the subscriber base will dwindle, and then they'll be like, get rid of it.
Yeah, dump it.
Yeah. Because HBO Max is actually like, it has good content, like the types of movies that they have on there. And some of their original TV shows and movies are good too that I've watched. And, of course, when Game of Thrones you were still in it and it was good before that dreadful last season. I don't know how that prequel show's doing.
My mom watched like half of the first episode, and I said, "Mom, I'm out. I'm not going to give that show anymore."
I think people are kind of digging on it though, but at that point, I'm like, I'm done with Game of Thrones. After that bad last season, I can't do anymore. I thought this was interesting here. Sergeant Slaughter's Slaughterhouse giving us a wave and a.
I wonder if that's the same Sergeant Slaughter's Slaughterhouse. There's like a YouTube channel where all he does is promote. He has got like videos, nothing but anything to do with Sergeant Slaughter.
I feel like it would have to be.
Which I'm assuming that. Which if it is, like I've checked out that channel before, and I mean I've watched some clips for fun. Just when I like to just sit and watch random stuff. Like there's the commercials that feature Sergeant Slaughter, clips from the cartoon to the movie. Big Sergeant Slaughter fan. That's who I think it is, which obviously,
if that is you, if it really is you,
let us know because I'm familiar with your channel there, and we love Sergeant Slaughter here, especially in the second season of G.I. Joe and the movie.
Yeah,
and we met him. We got to meet Sergeant Slaughter too, which I'm sure you probably did as well. Which he's a real treat to meet.
Yeah, he was a nice guy. I bought that print where he's got Cobra Commander and Hulk Hogan and like
headlock. Yeah. I got him to sign my G.I. Joe VHS and did a WrestleMania 7.
Which, in hindsight, I wish I would have bought a VHS tape and got him to sign it.
Well, I would have preferred to have like the original edition, which had like a checklist on the back of the VHS with like all the characters.
Yeah,
mine was like the
The Rhino
1990
release.
The Rhino release,
Yeah.
which was
Well,
all that was available at the time.
Yeah, yeah. Do what you
But
can do.
yeah, I mean, I'd had it for years before that, but oh well.
Fedmon says the Mark Summers Halloween special is on YouTube.
That's it. Goes to the Magic Mansion. Yep. That's what I'm talking about. They played it every October, at least once or twice. I remember that. Yeah. But because it didn't look like it was like a scary story, I never really sat in to watch it. As much as I love Mark Summers and would watch What Would You Do and a shitload of Double Dare.
Yeah, what would you do? God, I haven't thought about that show in a long time either.
Yeah, which was the best part was them going to the wall, and if they're going to get
pie in the face,
whipped cream in the face, or a free T-shirt or something like that. Yeah, that was the best part of the show. Yeah, we're pretty well rounded on this podcast here, people. We can talk so much more than just He-Man. We're not a one trick pony. Joe is,
and that's also why later in the month we're gonna have, instead of Fans Power on a Sunday, we're gonna have some, and now for something different, topics. Yeah. One of them will be a G.I. Joe episode watch along, I believe, and then another I'm not gonna spoil. It's something we've talked about before. It'll be a tier list. If I toss that out, you think it's October, put together what shit we've talked about in the last couple of weeks. You'll kind of piece that together. I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up because it's getting kind of late, and Joe's got to do some stuff. He's already doing stuff. He's probably puking some more.
Yeah,
the private chat.
It's like Chris Farley and Tommy, and the medic gets out and goes, "Oh my god!" The corners in the back puking because I'll a couple extra pennies.
I'll find out where he got his pizza from so we can put a recall notice and make sure that no one else has to. I mean, it might be like these. Maybe it was just some pizza he found sitting in some grass somewhere. And
that was sitting outside, like frozen pizza had been sitting outside for half a week. And he's like, it's still good. Good.
Yeah, it's still cold.
Yeah.
Not knowing that the temperature's starting to drop because it's fall now.
Or that it was sitting outside, temperature dropped, it raised, it dropped, it raised, it dropped, it raised, like, it's still chilled, even though like the pepperoni there probably had been warped and
the brown.
Yeah.
Well, here was this also. How long before Disney buys Warner Brothers or vice versa? There is no vice versa to that. If it's going to happen, Disney's going
to do it. Yeah.
Since Disney practically owns everything else. I'll leave it with this. It's not a question from the chat room. How do you feel Deadpool 3, Hugh Jackman Wolverine coming? I'm digging it.
I have not seen Deadpool 2 just because I'm just so sick of people and their modern day fanfare for the character.
It's okay. It's not as good as the first one. It's fine.
I like Deadpool 1. I liked it a lot. I've only seen it the one time and I own it. I've just never bothered to rewatch it.
I get that. I'm due for a rewatch on that, but I like how it was announced.
That was great too. Yeah,
and then Hugh Jackman was like, "Hey, you want to play Wolverine again?" Yeah, sure. As he's walking up the steps,
which I figure, that was what I wouldn't expect anything less. Yeah, so I'm glad to know that they're not going to go and recast him with fucking
Ren disagrees.
No, well, of course he hates Batman too. Of course, Ren hates everything. He likes fucking King Grayskull. You don't count, Ren. I'm sorry, man, but someone who says the idea of multiple He-Men is a great idea. I mean, like, what are you doing? What are you doing, Ren?
Ren, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna toss this out to you. November, free up a Sunday. We're gonna bring you back. Put the gloves on. You and Tyler can go toe to toe. Round 2. It'll be like. Well, it'll be live, so people see it. Because I was gonna be like, "What if
it'll be live on pay-per-view?
What if it's like that secret fight that Rocky and Apollo had?
Oh yeah. Who won
that Creed's fight? Always talking about?
Yeah.
Which was funny to I don't know because Creed. All right, I'm gonna say this too to deviate from our Deadpool discussion, which we might swing back to. Creed, without a doubt, is one of actually probably my favorite movie that has come out in the last 25 years. Tyler can tell you I've watched this movie so many fucking times.
Yeah, I always make sure walking up 7 a.m. and I'll get like 27 text messages, and somewhere in there is I'm watching Creed again, man. It's one of the best movie I ever made. And even when I respond to it, he's already lost interest in the conversation, so I won't hear anything more about Creed unless he happens to still be awake.
Yeah,
when I wake up,
Oh man, but one of the running jokes is because so when I get really nervous, like I'm a pooper, So I'm like, oh, I got to take a shit. And it always makes you think about that scene right before the fight. And he's like, where he's already taped up, got the gloves on. He's like, hey, cut me out. I got to take a shit. So I just feel like that. I get it. He's nervous.
Does that ever happen to you, Ren? You get nervous when you're drawing? You get nervous when you're drawing for me and have to take a shit?
I don't know what Ren was saying cool about here, but he said this. Creed is absolutely amazing. I agree. And even Creed 2 is fantastic. Creed 2
I
is
love Creed 2.
too.
Yeah. Which Creed 3, I just hate that, Rocky's not going to be in it because I kind of feel like he is just as part of the series. And
it does. I get that. But I'm curious to see what's going to happen. I'm going to watch it, but there is.
I do wish they would bring back a place for Clubber Lang. Like I just kind of feel like if we're going to revisit these aspects, like the Apollo characters we visited through Adonis. Yeah. Dolph has come back. Like, I want to see Mr. T.
But what would it be? Like, is it going to be like, here's his son to come?
No, not like that. Just like I heard about you, that you were, whatever happened to you. You're like, well, my career pretty much ended like after Rocky beat me for the title again.
How about this? All right, so obviously Rocky's not going to be in it, and Ren specifies here that he'll be ready in November. All right. We'll work out some details in Ren.
By the way, Ren, are you familiar with Ren the Intergalactic Ninja? Because I think when I think of you, I think of like the obscure comic book character with the brief toy line. You familiar with that character, Ren, or anybody else for that matter? Okay, go ahead, Nathan.
All right. What you could do with Clubber Lang, since Rocky's not going to be in it, you could work it into where maybe Clubber comes in to like help with some training or kind of step up maybe in that role. But at the same time too, like with Mr. T,
it would be like kind of like, again, like we're going to have another villain be redeemed.
Yeah.
But I just feel like Mr. T's career was made off of that movie. Like it would be cool to have him come back and just, even if he's not playing a big role, but he would play, like a discussion of like, being humbled about like, I was the number one in the world and I ran my mouth to Rocky. I kicked his ass and I didn't take him seriously after that. And you know what? All I did was awaken the beast. It's like, Adonis, don't do that. You won, you've beaten, the best right now, but I swear to God, do not take it for granted. Do not think that you've beaten the best, because when you think you have, there's like you have to stay hungry. I was hungry till I beat Rocky, then I wasn't hungry anymore, and he kicked my ass.
Okay, so just have it like a little scene that like kind of bridges what
he's looking up old Rocky fights, just because he's a student of the game, and it's like Clubber Lang, like, and decides to
seek him out
and just talk to him. But just like anyone who's a fan of basketball, boxing, or football, and you want to talk to the greats, and knowing that he was ranked number one, beat Rocky, in 2 rounds, and like, what the hell happened to you, man? Like you won the title, like, and just ask him about his journey of like, being humbled after beating the best and then losing immediately, less than a year later, like, and then he's gone.
Yeah,
and he's like, well, we couldn't find me because I was on the A team.
Ren says Zen Space Ninja.
I guess that's him. Like, because I remember the comic book is Zen the Intergalactic Ninja. Maybe it's been so long, but he's a blue ninja with a staff.
And Ren also says he shits while he draws. So
how about that? That's talent, man.
I mean, hey, man, it's like getting 2 birds stoned at once. That's a Trailer Park Boys reference.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I was gonna say I'm proud to know that Ren like took a shit one time while he was drawing this. It just shows he was working day and night.
Gavin Toss, the Rocky franchise is the perfect film series. Great arcs, great actors, great everything. First Rocky is my favorite film of all time. Everything great about cinema.
Yeah, Rocky 2 is my favorite.
It's like honestly, of course, the only like sore spot throughout the whole thing is Rocky 5.
Yeah, and I still have not watched it in its entirety. I still have no interest in it. I just don't like the story they're trying to tell. I don't care for the acting, what I've seen in it, and I'm just kind of glad that they pretty much just kind of, even though I'm sure there is somebody out there, and probably a choice few, that like Rocky 5. Maybe it's the first one they saw. Maybe they saw something we didn't. Like I think Jaws Revenge is not a complete piece of shit. It's not grand, but I still like it.
But also,
you know?
like Tommy Gunn is not like he's not.
He's not a memorable like villain for Rocky at all.
Yeah, and the fact that it just ends, it's like a parking lot fight. Like,
yeah,
no.
it's like, especially when the bar is risen so high. Like, I know you're trying to bring it back down after all that, but you know what? You could have went in a different direction. Like the idea of him training somebody else, losing, losing the focus on the family. I mean, you still could have done all that, but to build up to just this kind of like, I don't know. It just wasn't. I kind of feel like like Rocky's persona like is trying too hard to be more like the first one. Like he goes from being dignified, he doesn't talk like he's from the streets anymore, and then all of a sudden he starts talking like he's from the streets of Philly. Like that makes no sense to me. Like I know what you're doing, but it makes no sense for the story you've told already.
Yeah, and I get that too. And while Rocky Balboa is good, I feel like that portrayal of like him after fighting was done better in Creed than it was overall in Rocky.
And I don't.
It's still solid.
Balboa. Yeah, it's still a good film, but it's 1 through 4, and then I go right to the Creed series.
Yeah,
for the most part.
And I have to admit, in Creed 2, when his son comes back, to like that the scene where they're talking, I cried. And then at the end when Adonis goes to Apollo's grave with his baby, I was like,
I mean the Rocky films in general, like I've teared up for well, maybe not so much 1. I tear up every time for 2, no matter how many times. Even when I'm like just watching just the fight sequence, I'm listening to the fight sequence at the gym or something like that.
It's just like,
I mean, hold
it back.
I use it for motivation when I run a lot too. I'll listen to the fight when I'm lifting weights. But Rocky 3, like when him and Adrian are arguing on the beach, I'm afraid. Like he just breaks down and shows how vulnerable he is. Like I cried during that sequence. And Rocky 4, I really don't cry.
You don't cry. You don't cry when Apollo dies.
No,
I don't either.
It just sucks and it's sad.
Yeah.
But it doesn't bring me to tears.
Yeah.
Because then it doesn't. Then we're often running to where it's like, hey, all right, now he's going to fight Drago. But then
well, Brian says here that Rocky is his greatest, and I think that's what I like about it is that you can ask anybody. And their favorite one is probably completely different from like he likes 4. I kind of bounce back and forth between. All right, so I guess the Creed movies, it's like even though it's connected, it's separate thing.
Well, to me, it's all part of the same timeline. So I said, I mean, to me, they are part of the series. Like
if we're putting it all together, God, I might actually. I might have to put Creed at the top, and Rocky 4 is up because Rocky 4 was like I think it was the first Rocky movie that I watched, and I love Rocky. I love Rocky 2 and Rocky 3. Rocky 5 sucks. Balboa's okay. Creed is amazing. Creed 2, man, I never sat to really think to like rank them before, but I hope everyone enjoyed this.
Yeah.
Rocky,
this Rocky discussion here, after hours with fans of power, the Rocky Balboa discussion.
But those movies are, aside from 5,
they're
amazing.
uplifting. They're motivating.
They're great.
They are
one of my favorite franchises. Probably, I mean, like it would have to be up there. It's like ever, like all time, like because most of those, except for 5, are ones that replayability over and over.
You think that one installment is universally hated by damn near everybody, but the rest of the films are so beloved. Not too many franchises can say they have. I mean, like Star Wars has got 3 good films. That's it. James Bond, I don't know. I'm not the biggest Bond fan in the world, but
Same.
I know it's but it's ran a long time and very profitable, and people are very passionate about a lot of those films. But
they're fun for what they are, and then also like with a lot of them, they're sort of like that time capsule of the time they were made in.
Yeah. So and I kind of feel like, it's almost different. Whereas like, I feel like Rocky Balboa is like a progression of one character, whereas the Bond films are separate installments.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's almost like you could sit there and say, did Daniel Craig actually experience the events of Thunderball and From Russia with Love or View to a Kill? Sure. Yeah. I guess if you wanted to.
And I don't think I think Timothy Dalton needs a little more love for.
Damn right he does. He needs just in general, like just because he's a badass altogether anyway. You know.
And he was great in Hot Fuzz. Like I like him.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, that's a fantastic
awesome
fucking movie. Yeah, I love that.
The villain of the Rocketeer.
Yeah, Rocketeer.
Yeah.
That's which is also another thing we need to talk about in the future.
Yeah.
See, this is what happens when Joe isn't here. We start rambling about everything else, and then Tyler and I. This is what you're experiencing right now. Is
it's
when
just
Tyler,
us being us.
When Tyler and I bump into each other at the store, and then we walk out to the parking lot, and we just start talking.
Yeah, this
whatever.
is like us sitting in a Walmart parking lot talking about movies and toys, and
yeah,
it's like, well, hell, we should have been recording this. So I mean, we say that every time, you know. But you know, so if you guys are enjoying this, you have to blame Joe for that. So.
Yeah. Or I guess thank him in a roundabout way.
Yeah, you have to thank him for getting sick.
Gavin says the scene that makes me cry is Rocky 3, Mickey's death. Has me bawling.
That's super sad, especially when Rocky is screaming.
Like the ending
when Mickey dies.
E.T. is a heartbreaker too, man.
Dude, I had not seen that movie in I don't know how many years, and it's back when I was living over in Fairlawn in my mid I think 20s, and caught the last 20 minutes. And I sat there crying my eyes out. I hadn't seen it in over 20 years. Like, fuck, man. Like, I'm just because I remember watching it as a kid. I never cried as a kid when he leaves, but I won't watch it now because I'm like, I just don't want to cry in my own home like that. I feel better when I'll cry when I watch Rocky because I feel happy when I'm done. E.T.'s just like, why can't you just stay with him, you know? Or Ellie, go with him.
He's got to go home. That was the whole
I know that, but I'm like, damn it.
I know.
It's just not fair.
Oliver says it was surprising for me that Stallone's ex-wife, Bridget Nielsen, reprised her role. Yeah, but I mean, money talks.
It does, and you know, she was part of that story, and it's like, why not be a part of it?
Yeah,
you know, and Stallone, you know, I think it was cool that you know they, you know, had no quarrels about doing it.
Yes,
you know, I could see her having problems with than him. Like I think Stallone's more like, you know, hey, look. You know, I moved on. I married a really hot woman,
and then got separated from her. Would
now
the story
back together.
Are they?
Yeah, they're getting back together. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the last I saw, which I guess was debunked, is that like he wanted to get another dog, and she was like, no. And that was like he's like, all right, fine, we're just we'll go our separate ways.
Because I never keep up with any of this stuff. Like I just hear they're breaking up, and then I saw like. They're going to reconcile, but I had no idea it was over something like that.
No, well, I think it got debunked. I don't think it's entirely true because I think Stallone's like, no, that's not what any of this was about. Gavin says here, I'd say I love the Halloween franchise, even with the bad ones. I also love the Indiana Jones trilogy as original Star Wars unaltered trilogy, which it kind of
me too.
It brings up a question with us, and I'm going to tie it into another question that we got here from Brian Brummagem, and this comes with movie franchises, some of the best. So we have Indiana Jones, you know, Temple of Doom's pretty weak, and we'll forget that Crystal Skull exists. But overall,
it does not exist.
The Godfather movies 1 and 2 are solid. 3 is just kind of whatever. It gets a bad rap, but I think 3 is like it's fine.
What I saw of it, I enjoy, but I still have not finished it. But what I saw, I thought was good.
Rocky movies. As we just discussed, one of the best, except, 5's not so much. And this brings me to Brian Brummagem's question, Tyler Baker. And this, hey, man, this would be for me, too. What are your thoughts on the Rambo franchise?
Oh, boy. I hold the Rambo franchise higher
over
than
Rocky.
Over Rocky, yeah. Because
I guess it's because there's, not really a bad one.
Well, I mean, Rambo, which is Rambo 4, I find that to be the weakest installment. I do not go back and revisit it because mainly Rambo doesn't do a whole lot in the movie outside like the very end where he gets on the back of it.
But when he does, other than the CG blood, I didn't like.
Well, but I enjoy Rambo when he's taking out individuals by himself and not just mowing them down from one giant machine gun. You know.
But I think it built up to that point to where it I don't know. I think it made sense.
I mean, people like it a lot, but I feel like that's the only thing people remember about that film was that one sequence at the very end.
And Last Blood took me by surprise. I was not expecting it to be as good as it was.
Me neither.
And then the emotion that you feel in it, I was like, I was not expecting this.
Yeah, and I teared up when his niece dies.
Yeah, spoilers,
Yeah.
everybody. Sorry.
Sorry, I can't say it by now. I'm sorry, but I felt that was my First Blood Part 2 and First
Yeah.
Blood as a child, and it was all about Rambo with the red handband, the bow and arrow in the jungle. Like that has been branded into my brain as the definitive Stallone image, and to this day, like I went and repurchased, I think 2 years ago, the Rambo gun from the toy line, the Arco toy line of weapons that they sold back in the 80s. I had a machine gun / dart gun from that film.
Yeah.
And I played the shit out of that gun. It went into the 90s with that gun. And I rebought it. It still works. It still functions as a dart gun and as a machine gun. And I have it on display in the den there because I was so... and I save pictures of what it looks like men on card, too, on my phone just because I always want to remember what it was. Yeah. And I remember getting it at Rose's. But the Rambo franchise, I love First Blood and Part 2. I grew to love Part 3.
I say that gets a bad rap, but it's still fun.
Oh God, Stallone probably looks the best in Rambo.
He's shredded.
Like, I mean, like that opening stick fight is fucking rocks, dude. And like the sequence in the cave when he's running around in the dark, that was my inspiration for the Ninja or Clamp Chat mini comic that I wrote. Like I just took that sequence and like, oh, I know what I'll do, and I just like that inspired me to write that because it's a lot of fun. Stallone looks great. The villain is not memorable, but you could say that about a lot of the Rambo villains. Mm-hmm. Like they're not. Brian Denny, he's a great villain. He's a memorable villain, but like the villains in all the sequels are not as, except in Part 2, like what's his name? Who plays Murdoch? He was in Ernest Goes to Jail. He was in Silence of the Lambs. Damn it, his name escapes me now.
Yeah, you're better at that with the names than I am.
Yeah, but he was good because he's playing a political asshole.
Yeah.
But
is that your favorite one?
Yeah, Part 2.
Yeah,
it's in my top 5, top 10 films of all time.
It's between that and First Blood as my favorite. But
First Blood's a masterpiece, but I had the most fun watching.
Yeah. And I'm glad we got to see First Blood at that Fathom event at the theater.
Me too. I just wish they would play some of the others as well. But to see First Blood on the big screen, well, that was memorable.
And it's got a little more meat on the bone for that because it deals more with like coming home from
the emotions of the Vietnam War and everything.
Which I still say that. I hate the fact that when people came home, we spit on them. Like
they were drafted, and we're going to sit there and act like they were assholes because they were forced to go over.
It was beyond their control, so you can't really do that.
Bunch of damn hippies.
All right, we're gonna leave it with this, then we'll fucking shut this shit off. Fedmon says,
"I gotta go to bed."
Yeah,
I love the Rambo cartoon.
I do too.
Yeah,
the toy line's fucking great too, man.
Yeah,
I need to go dig those out and put them on display because I got them
on display in my den in there too. I
had them on display.
My John Matrix. To sit alongside Rambo 2 from the Diamond Toys. Yeah,
you did that to me.
Yeah,
I saw that. I was like, I gotta get one too. Fuck.
Yeah, and there's a whole line of like Commando action figures that's very similar to the Rambo line. Like he's got like 3 buddies, and then there's a line of bad guys from a faction called Fear that's led by a guy named Sawbones who has an eye patch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually got the 3 3/4 John Matrix is sitting there with my GI Joes. Yeah. But the Rambo cartoon, I love the villains. Gripper, Sergeant Savage, Nomad.
Gripper's really cool looking.
Gripper's him and Sergeant Havoc. Like as a kid, I'd have lost my shit if I had the action figures. Like in that clip Nathan showed earlier, I'm wearing Sergeant Havoc's tank top. The white tank top with the logo. Yeah,
you should have listened to it, man. You should have heard your voice. There's the name that you were looking for earlier.
Charles Napier. Yes. God, any other time I'd remember that. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
It always happens.
Yeah, it's because it's getting late, and Tyler's going.
Yeah.
I got to
get 5 a.m. and make money to buy more toys and stuff like that.
Yeah. So that is. It's like, yep. Got to go to work, make money, so we can just buy more stuff. I actually bought another Gilman figures from '91. He's 4 inches. I don't know exactly what it came from. It was only $25. They were like a bunch of people watching it. And I'm like,
don't you just make you feel good when you're like, I'm taking it away from you?
Well, the first thing is I'm like, why has no one bought this yet? All right, fine, I'll do it. But yeah. So add another to the collection. But we'll go ahead,
dude.
Go ahead, tie a bow on this extensive conversation. I hope
Yeah.
you guys enjoyed the mini comic conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed us talking about Stallone,
Rambo and
his,
Rocky and
his filmography that we got.
we're big Stallone fans on this podcast. Period. You know, we can talk Demolition Man, talk Rambo, Rocky,
Demolition Man.
Cobra.
He's got that new show coming out.
I'm getting Paramount Plus just for that. So
I saw the trailer and I was like, all right, yeah, where he's like
awesome.
he's
Tulsa
like a mob, where he's a mob guy going to Tulsa, Oklahoma to sort of become like a new kingpin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck it. Seeing Stallone as a mob boss, it signed me up, man.
With
like,
his with his gray hair and everything.
Yeah.
It works. So I'm looking forward to watching that. But if you guys enjoyed this episode and you're new to the channel, make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and always ring that bell so you get notified when we go live. And until next time, have a powerful day.
I'm a little too old to be playing the hard voice. Meet Reverend Werewolf. You've seen this. Joe has seen this.
I know, but yeah.
And we discussed this. Silver
Bullet.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, I watched it yesterday.
What's the because I don't know it. You're better at the quotes. What's the one when he's talking about the Yankees?
Piss on the Yankees, piss on the Phillies. You know, he's just singing this song of like piss on, you know.
Yeah.
He's just naming baseball teams, but piss on the Yankees, piss on the Phillies. I love Gary Busey's
crazy, man.
He does come off like he's like the what you expect cool uncles to be like. Like that's what I hope Bryant and Eli see me as, except I don't drink.
I was gonna say you're gonna have to take up drinking. Really?
No, I don't do that. But I always like to buy them cool toys, tell cool stories. I want to introduce them to cool stuff, and they always call me Uncle Tyler. Hey, Uncle Tyler, and they come running and hug me and stuff like that.
Punch him in the groin.
I think they've got my brother in the balls a couple times, not intentionally, but just like.
That's
Derek
awesome.
used to do that to my dad a lot, and he thought like, "Oh, I'll win. I'll just get my dad in the nuts." And he did it to my dad several times. He used to call it the crunch. I hit Dad in the crunch.
Crunch.
Yeah. And he called it dinky. I hit him in the dinky. Yeah.
See, I used to call it dinger. So there's some there's some synergy with that. There's a lot of dings in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Hit him the ding dong.
Maybe that'll be like a new name of a show.
Yeah, the ding dongs.
Either that or dingers and dinks.
Yeah, dingers and dinks.
We'll leave it on that.
We'll leave it on that there, people. We'll come back next week. We'll have another fun discussion for you. Thanks for everyone who gave us your time.
Spoiler alert. We might if all works well, it'll be the Reverend and another guest.
Who's an asshole.
Caveman. I'll leave it with that. See
He's
you next week.
Caveman. Later.